Saturday, April 25th, 10 to 2.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's Conversational Radio Show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
You're listening
to Joey Clark.
Warm sound, clear sound, right here with Joey Clark. It's
Joey Clark.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program. I am your host, Joey Clark. Thank God for another beautiful day. Hopefully it'll be a beautiful, great show. And Montgomery needs a new mayor. Now, speaking of Montgomery, and something's going on with my camera. I don't even know what's going on there, but we'll just keep pushing on and just listen on the radio, folks. You know, with Montgomery, I think Montgomery does need a new mayor, but I've been anxious. Been anxious about this place for a while. So here's what I sat down and wrote Saturday as I was thinking about my anxiety on this and taking the advice from a fellow I sat down for breakfast with on Friday as well as some realizations I've had, and those keep happening. Some bigger, some just common sense. You should have been on top of it 10 years ago, you dope, but here we are today. But I ran across, of course, Matthew 6:33-34. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be yours as well. Therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Let the day's own trouble be sufficient for the day. For too long, I have felt like a stranger in my own hometown, a sojourner in the place of my birth. Where are you from? Montgomery residents regularly ask me, as though I am obviously from somewhere else. When I respond here, born and raised, I have come to expect the surprised look on people's faces, sometimes tinged with intrigue, sometimes suspicion, and sometimes even the polite blink of someone who's thinking, "Oh, honey, bless your heart." It's almost comical and endearing. Almost. Indeed, there's a better part of me made worse by my anxiety to find a home that actually feels like home. Montgomery over the years has felt less and less so. Except for my grandfather, most of my family has moved away from Montgomery. Why stay when you can retire in Auburn, truly the loveliest village on the plains? Why stay in Montgomery when there are better opportunities in the Carolinas and Tennessee? Why stay in Montgomery when there are smaller communities across Alabama from Alex City to the rural coastlands of Lillian overlooking the sea? I don't blame my family one bit. I, too, have felt the pull to follow in their footsteps and leave this city. The idea that Montgomery would be better off without me and I better off without Montgomery. The changes in this city over the years have been bittersweet. Some needed, some promising, yet some the rot of a failure to lead. I will not put all of Montgomery's ills on the leadership of Mayor Stephen Reed, but as mayor, he does bear the extra responsibility that comes with his office, even in matters he might consider unfairly placed at his feet. For all the increase in money spent, the investments and infrastructure, the promise and new amenities, there is undoubtedly a sense of insecurity hanging over Montgomery's future, both in terms of public safety, public education, as well as public confidence in her leaders, local, state, business, and religious, to courageously and competently lead. Again, I do not put this all on Reed. Montgomery especially, Goat Hill, is packed full of quote-unquote good people with their own ideas and little kingdoms who love to politely pretend publicly we are all one community while uncharitably gossiping privately as they jostle for position in a city scarred by an enduring negative peace. Yet Reed seems to live off the negativity as much as his naysayers. Perhaps that's why he's the mayor. He's more an effect than a cause of the city's underlying dynamics. He's more an effect than a cause of the city's underlying dynamics. That, as well as the legacy of his last name, might be why he's mayor. The same dynamic could be said of many other Montgomery leaders. Many have inherited last names and family legacies, while others are more newly self-made. Yet, they all seem more effects than causes of this city. The failures of present Montgomery are always haunted by the sins of Montgomery past. The vision of Montgomery's future is always clouded by an anxiety of not knowing where we're from, bringing about a lost sense of identity and agency. Perhaps Montgomery itself is a sojourner in the place of its birth, a community freed, yet lost in the desert, searching for the promises of generations past. I now ask Montgomery, where are you from? What is this place you call home? What is this city's center? Its heart? What is its hope and legacy? Last week, I was leaving my childhood church here in Montgomery, my true home, in the midst of this hometown so foreign to me. I'd been in quiet prayer and study, considering the question of where I'm from, where I might be going, and who I want to be. As I walked through the courtyard to the back parking lot, I chuckled at how endearingly rambling St. Teresa of Avila could be. Reading her writing was like talking to a long-lost friend, unseen yet still alive in the words on the page. St. Teresa, pray for me, I thought, with a chuckle. That's when I heard a clicking sound above my head. I looked up. It was the bell tower. Click, click, click. Perhaps it's broken, I thought. Yet as I walked under and through the threshold of the tower, the bells began sounding their 6 p.m. song. I stopped in my tracks, and as I listened to the bells, I looked to the west and saw the sun setting behind my old elementary and middle school campus. Recollections began welling up inside of me, teeming like water through visions of my childhood, as all the episodes of that place I once called home danced before my eyes. And as I bathed in the sun's warmth in an overflowing spring of memories, and as the bells ended their song, I saw a mourning dove glide above the bell tower and over my head into the sunset. This is home, I thought to myself, not this building, not this school, not this campus, but this gratitude I feel for the gift of another day and another hour, to seek first his kingdom. I still do not know whether I will follow my family and leave hometown Montgomery behind. Yet I am at peace that this day I do not have to decide. If first I seek to do God's will, home will be wherever his wind, Spiritus Sanctus, might have me fly. Anxiety over tomorrow or the sins of years gone by need not trouble men or cities, and should be set aside. As for Montgomery, if this city of 400 churches wishes to unite all its little kingdoms and tribes, perhaps we should make our center once again the fountain of God, whose living water overflows and allows all to rise. Rather than political slogans, profitable schemes, or past sins shaping our legacy and lives, what if love your enemies was written like water on the sidewalk at the center of our city, at the center of our hearts and minds? Seriously, I think it would make a great mural around the fountain downtown. Like, it looked like the paint would be overflowing water into writing love your enemies and would sum up so many different aspects of our complicated history and legacy in this place. And as much as it could be lost and waved away as sentiment, and I think that is what's missing so much in this city and in many cities around this country, is that true center. And I pray we all continue to try to find it, though we will always stumble. Welcome into the program. You know, as I look at Montgomery, there was, the third shooting was in Wetumpka, but the river region in general. Again, I'm not just picking on Mayor Reed, though Montgomery needs a new mayor. We need just better leadership across the board, whether you're looking at the state level. Again, more effects than causes of the system. Who is actually running things properly instead of just doing business as usual? And that goes for the surrounding area in many ways. I mean it when I say a lot of little fiefdoms and little kingdoms all over this place. But a man was killed in Montgomery in a shooting Friday night. Another man was injured in a Saturday Montgomery shooting. One critically injured and one in custody following a Sunday shooting in Wetumpka. And this story ran this weekend. The International Hot Rod Association moves its upcoming Montgomery race to Ohio. Went back to Ohio.
That's Chrissy Hine, man.
Whole city was gone. Troy Carrico here in the studio with me. How you doing?
Good. There was no train station, and everything was replaced by shopping malls.
Rush Limbaugh was wise to use that as his opener for a while. That bass, boom, 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 boom.
She's from Akron, Ohio.
But the International Hot Rod Association announced on Friday that they were moving an upcoming race in Montgomery in May to Ohio after a recent shooting at the Montgomery International Dragway. The IHRA said in a statement on Friday, quote, "We have made the decision in coordination with management at Montgomery's International Dragway to relocate the third race of the IHRA Outlaw Nitro Series and IHRA Small Tire Brat Series from Montgomery, Alabama. The event, scheduled for May 7th through the 9th, will now take place at Darana Raceway in Hebron.
It's up north.
Ohio.
It's up outside of Cleveland.
Testing will be held on Wednesday, May 6th. This decision, the organization goes on to say, this decision follows a recent shooting at the Montgomery facility. While the situation is unrelated to our operations, we agreed alongside track leadership that relocating the event is the most responsible course of action out of an abundance of caution. The safety of our racers, their families, crews, partners, fans, and staff remain our top priority. This decision reflects our commitment to providing a safe and professional environment for everyone involved. With this move, the May 7th through the 9th event in Hebron will now be branded the IHRA Spring Nationals. We will communicate additional details, yada, 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 yada. And of course, not this past weekend, but the one before that, there were 7 shootings and 4 homicides. Add another injury and another death after this past weekend.
So I was down in Mobile, and a good friend of ours is a state police officer, played football with Jeremy at Faulkner, and he asked me, he goes, "What's going on up in Montgomery?" I said, he's from Montgomery too. And he said, What? He goes, "What is going on?" I said, "You tell me, you're a police officer." He said, "Well, I can tell you this, there's no one that wants to work up there simply because of what's been happening." He said, "But it goes deeper than that." His dad was a U.S. Marshal here in Montgomery, so he comes from a law enforcement family. He just said, and we talked about the numbers of police, and he said, it just the disparity between Mobile's 400 strong, 399 versus our whatever number they give us, 200 and some, he said it's disparately a gap.
Yeah.
And
can't even get numbers.
Yeah, you can't even get the numbers. That's the thing he was saying. He goes, I told him about Will Barfield's attempt to try to bring some
Barfoot,
Barfoot clarity to the situation, and it was struck down. So, yeah.
Hey, and did you see Brian Dawson's podcast hitting on this? And again, it ain't just the mayor. So he definitely bears a responsibility in his position. But it ain't just him. Brian Dawson said, I want to thank Nathaniel Ledbetter, our House Speaker. I want to like him. I want to like him. I really do. I have friends who tell me how conservative he is. I'm not buying it. I don't think he's a bad person. However, the man does not have a conservative bone in his body. He doesn't understand the nature of the battle that we are in. The House had already passed a version of a closed primary bill, but adjourning early meant it had no chance to approve any favorable amendments from the Senate version. And it wasn't just that. On the Montgomery staffing bill, Brian Dawson goes on to note that in addition to broad support in the legislature, it was praised by the current Attorney General Steve Marshall and U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville. Everybody's showing support for this bill. It's really just a good thing. And then Ledbetter is like, nah, fam, we're fixing to give the progressive Marxist a victory. So why? Did he cut a deal with Reed? I can't think of any other explanation other than maybe petty vindictiveness against the people he believed wanted to see that bill passed. And it's an example of, I think there was a lot of momentum to get this done. But unfortunately, failed leadership is not just unique to city government by any means in this state. And what I was saying there about more effects than causes, I think that's
good.
That sums up my feeling. It's not ill will personally towards any of these folks. Heck, half the time, especially at the city level, it's not even a partisan disagreement. I'm not going as far as Brian Dawson here. Like, I expect the people that are voted in to reflect the population that votes them in and the majorities that vote them in. But there is a certain lack of competency in getting things done. Like, if you want to be the Montgomery's Democrat in a blue dot city, go ahead, man. But can't we actually get some security? Can't we get some daggum security in this place so that all this investment, all these promises, and all this hope of progress can actually bloom as opposed to die on the vine? And
I had breakfast with Admiral Davis, Robin and I did, on Saturday, and we were talking about Steve Reed and the city of Montgomery. And I didn't realize this, but in Alabama, there's only a few cities that have a partisan election for mayor. Mobile doesn't.
no, technically we don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but so you think about that on face value as, hey, this guy, the mayor should be a populist. He should be for the people of the city and all that. But clearly there's petty politics and party lines that are drawn everywhere, particularly in this place.
Yeah, and just getting everybody to row in the same direction. I mean, that takes good leadership, but it also takes some folks being shook up in a good way. And part of me just thinks we ain't all getting in the same room and on the same page.
You just said it. Leadership.
Yep.
There's an absence or thereof, and that's why we're here.
And my hope and prayer is that Tuberville provides at the state level. My hope and prayer is somebody righteously and effectively challenges Mayor Reed. If somebody doesn't, then, we get what we deserve. But yeah, I look at Montgomery, and in particular, if you look at the young family level, a lot of people have, I met a beautiful couple the other day after church that chose Montgomery as their place to retire. I believe they actually are a Vietnamese background. So after they retired, lived in Arizona for years, and then they went and toured Vietnam. They're like, well, I want to get back to the States, get away from communism, but they love the weather. So they're like, where else in this world? They looked at Columbia, they looked at like Columbus, but then they looked at, they go, Montgomery. And so they chose to retire here, live, close to the church. And it's like, and so you hear a lot of that. But when I think of, like, say, the young family, the person in their 20s, their 30s, heck, even their 40s, a lot of people starting late these days, trying to raise up a family, unless you have a job where you're able to pay for the private education that you want.
That's the problem. Yep.
And the Choose Act is helping some in these regards for some folks. But that's the education and the sense of security and safety. And that is, well, the issue. And then you get into the deeper things that people could just, again, wave away as sentiment or symbolic or whatever. I'm like, no, I think there is as Dr. King called it in his letter from Birmingham jail, a negative peace. Now, perhaps Dr. King and I disagree on maybe how you go about solving that and creating a positive peace, as he might say. But there's something about the current approach that always likes to blame the failures of today on the past sins of yesterday.
Fathers. Yep.
And it's always kind of an excuse. And though there are a lot of naysayers, it seems current leadership kind of lives and breathes off the naysayers being the naysayers. And like, can't we get somebody to punch a higher floor and break this dadgum dynamic that's been going on for too long?
It would take a generational leader.
Yeah, we'll see. 272-9228. So, the symbolic can work itself out. The faith, I think, can be reborn. We just need to seek that approach, and it takes people actually seeking it. Yep. But then there are definitely the practical elements of we need more police officers, we need better schools, and all the other promises will do quite well if you get the fundamentals, the blocking and tackling done. Yeah. But again, more shootings over the weekend, and well.
And you think about systemically when we talk about a failure of leadership let's say at the city level and at the state level, if you have a strong leader, type A personality like Tommy Tuberville, maybe from top down you can build a culture of leadership.
No, and I'm happy to
accountability.
Talk to Coach and hope for the best with Coach's approach when he becomes governor. But I'm the one who wrote the op-ed saying stay in the Senate.
Yep.
because I'm worried he's going
I
to
agree.
slap his name on the same old approach. Now, I've been told by folks around him that is not going to be the case, that in particular he's going to need the legislature, though, to buy in. He would love to clean up the executive branch. But I just, I've been around this place too long, and there's always room for hope and that things can improve. But that is a real concern in regards to Coach Tuberville. Like, if he delegates too much and he sort of lets the town run him and him instead of him running the town, again, you get another effect than a cause.
Well, and the thing about it is, I believe his intentions are pure. I believe he's going to come here and do this, but you worry about the wait amount approach. You worry about the bleed amount approach, and he gets caught down in this mire of, push, shove, come and go. And then, it's different. And you're right. My initial thoughts were he is in a position of extreme power right now in the Senate. And, but if his heart's here,
but he hates
he
Washington.
hates DC. He hates DC.
Yeah, and
he hates
that makes me like
he
him
hates
more.
some of his colleagues at DC too.
That really makes me like him more.
Yeah.
When I asked, how's it going in D.C. months and months ago, and he said, it's a bunch of Satanists up here. I was like, I thought it was hyperbolic, and now I'm like, no, I think he means it, and he's correct.
They're eating babies under the White
Yeah,
House.
absolutely. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Soldier Boy.
Hey, what's up, man?
It's not Soldier Boy. It's the OTC.
Yeah. Did you watch WrestleMania this weekend?
Did I?
And what do you think? Joey, don't tell me. I don't ask you a question, but I know the answer already. Yes.
Okay.
But everyone knows wrestling's fake except in Mexico.
It's all professional.
I love it.
stunt.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, there are a lot of Lucha Libre guys
yeah.
in the ladder match. Like
I had a good
Penta.
friend that wrestled in the WWE.
Zero, Maro. Yeah.
And those guys.
Hey, Troy,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
a lot of military things happened this weekend.
Yeah.
I see that they had to launch two of his interceptors to intercept a
How
spy
about
plane
this?
from
How about
Russia.
you hold on? We're about to get to that, and I got to hit a break.
Oh,
Thanks, man. Hold on. How about this? Let's hit the break. But first, this part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services.
Yeah.
And they're at Pest Pro, Ashley and that great team are ready to help you with, any and all those needs,
There's plenty
like
of them.
cockroaches or fire ants or
Pick it. There's plenty,
spiders
Joey.
or
Pick them. They're everywhere.
wasps.
Ugh.
Those particularly bother me,
Bastard.
but I think that's an extra psychological problem I have.
Yeah.
But they can help ease that by killing those wasps for you.
They can.
And so get signed up for their basic pest control package. And they're at Pest Pro. They can get that set up where it's a monthly payment, reasonably priced, reasonable cost. And that way, you're covered. Then you can add to that mosquito protection, termite protection and inspection, as well as, if you have a relationship with them and all of a sudden a squirrel's in the attic, they can help you get rid of that thing. See, I'll check them out today. You can always learn more at ppsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces or call them direct at 265-9990. That's 265-9990. And be sure to tell them that Joey and Troy, the Soul, is on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
"2026 marks 60 years that hope has had a home in Alabama. At the Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches, children who've lost everything through no fault of their own have found something priceless. A safe place to live, a loving Christian family, and the chance to simply be kids again. Here, boys and girls grow up surrounded by care, guidance, and faith, learning right from wrong, learning responsibility, learning they are valued and that their lives have purpose. As the Alabama Sheriffs have believed for 6 decades, it's easier to build boys and girls than to repair men. We're just getting started.
When it comes to your mortgage, who you work with matters. And this is one decision where local makes all the difference. Don't fall victim to flashy mailers, spam calls, or 1-800 lenders who don't even know your name, much less your neighborhood. Those lenders are often sitting in some faraway state, reading from a script, and chasing volume, not relationships. A local lender understands the market you live in, or should I say that we live in. At Alabama Home Mortgage, you can look at us in the eye and trust us with one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. Local lenders don't disappear after closing day. Our reputation is built right here, one family at a time. So before you pick up the phone and call a stranger, remember us, Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon at Alabama Home Mortgage. You deserve guidance from someone who knows the community because they're a part of it. Give us a call at Alabama Home Mortgage today at 334-567-4223 or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. That's Alabama Home Mortgage, because there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586368, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Frank Bertorelli with Zap Pest Control. We're here today to thank Blue Water Broadcasting. We're now over 31 years in business. If you don't believe in radio advertisement, give these guys a chance. You won't be disappointed. Zap Pest Control is still on the move today, thanks to the friendships we've made with Blue Water Broadcasting.
Radio works. It's as simple as that. Call us to find out how radio can work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Yes?
Yeah, I'm Bill. You called about some breaker stripping?
Oh, yes, Bill. My brother-in-law says you can do almost anything.
That's me. Not much I hadn't seen.
Do you really want someone who does almost anything in your electric box? Think about that, because each year thousands of home fires are caused by faulty wiring. That's why you want a professional, like the electricians at Crosby Electric.
Bill, how's it going? Bill, ooh, are you okay?
Oh, yeah, well, I didn't really need my eyebrows anyway.
At Crosby Electric, all technicians undergo rigorous safety training, as well as background checks, drug testing, and continuing education.
Bill, you think maybe I should call a real electrician?
No, these little slip-ups happen. Everybody does it.
Really?
No, not really. When you need professional electric work, or you just like someone to assess your home for safety, call the experts at Crosby Electric, 272-2085, or visit us at crosbyelectric.com.
This is your roving reporter. Today I'm talking with a man from outer space.
What's up, Earthling?
I see you've landed your spacecraft over there in that field.
That's right, man.
My question is, why have you landed here on our planet?
I came to see David Ernest.
The asset preservationist?
Yeah, man. I wanted to see if he would take a look at my portfolio for me.
Well, before you make the trip over there, call him on his toll-free number, 833-596-7233.
And I understand those last 4 digits spell out the word safe.
That is correct.
Funny thing happened the last time I came to Earth.
What was that?
I went to the Walmart, man.
Yes?
And I accidentally went in the back door.
How did that work out?
Well, they stopped me and very gently told me that I needed to go around front and come in.
And then what did you do?
I said, cool, man. Take me to your greeter.
You flew millions of miles just for that.
Hey, man, I don't ride them. I just read them.
We get this question all the time.
Do you handle that?
Buying or selling a home?
Yes.
Commercial?
Yes.
Land or investments?
Absolutely. Hannah and Eddie Realty Group. One team.
Every real estate move. 334-322-0662.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Look for a nice rebound in the temperatures by this afternoon after that cool start. Sunshine with a high temperature up to about 79 today. Mostly clear skies. Still chilly tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 49. The warm-up continues tomorrow with a high temperature in the lower 80s and still warmer mid-80s on Wednesday and Thursday with more sunshine. Small chance of showers pops up on Friday, but a better chance of showers and thunderstorms over the upcoming weekend. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More has the best prices. Carpet as low as 69 cents per square foot. LVP starting at $1.29 a square foot. Sheet vinyl as low as 65 cents per square foot. And the lowest prices on flooring installation supplies. Budget Floors and More across from Delray Publix.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Anyway, welcome back. Trump did say no more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm done playing Mr. Nice Guy as an Iranian ship tried to pass the U.S. blockade over the weekend.
Three shots from a 5-inch deck gun, kind of stopped that. So
yeah, put that to bed pretty quick. And Iran signaling they're not going to attend a new round of talks with the U.S. delegation in Pakistan. And Trump tells the New York Post he's willing to meet with them anytime, any place, brushes off their peace talk refusals. So I feel like there's a lot of public signaling as well as a different private game going on here.
There's a lot.
Trump also coming out this morning saying, Israel never talked me into the war. I'm like, okay.
No, they may have drug you into the war.
Yeah. And we'll see. Anyway, we got Soldier Boy back. So, yeah, a lot did happen over the military weekend. Do you think it's going to hold?
Multi thing. Let's start first off. We had our destroyer in the Philippine Sea ran into the Russian destroyer within 50 to 100 feet in the collision we almost had with them.
Yep.
And they're screaming and hollering that we were in the right of way and everything, but the cameras show otherwise. I look on the internet that they were on the wrong side when they were passing. And here's the interesting thing is too. This was all being done while a helicopter tried to land on the back of the destroyer.
Yeah, I saw that. It's intentional. The Russians are trying to coax an incident. They want to do that. That's part of their hybrid warfare. It's part of their hybrid warfare plan in conjunction with Iran and with China. It's all hybrid warfare. That's what that is.
Well, here's the thing about it is I've been on a U.S. cutter Nantucket when I was in San Juan, Puerto Rico, Roosevelt Roads Naval Air Station.
Yes.
Air Station. And let me tell you, that's a big cutter too, though.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is 50 to 100 feet, that's freaking close.
That's not even danger close. That is critical, imminent failure. But that was intentional by the. And when you get that close, Joey, you run the risk of you can't really correct action at that point, and then momentum takes over.
If you hear what the United States did, the captain had to call them full reverse.
Yeah, good thing he did.
To get, and if it wouldn't, it would have been an international. I just understand. And then the Russians sent a spy plane and 2 F-35s that we sold to Sweden. Intercepted them in international airspace right outside their airspace borderline.
Happens all the time.
These people are trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. But once they saw those F-35s, they thought twice about it too. I guess I don't understand. Russia's gotten their butt whooped by Ukraine right now, pretty bad, taking a lot of casualties, losing a lot of money and everything. But then they want to start an incident with us in the sea, and then they want to start some crap in Sweden. I mean, they're not that big.
No, the truth of the matter is this: it's misdirection. It's look here because there is utter failure right now. The Ukrainians have changed their drone strategy to doing deep interdiction strikes, and they're attacking critical infrastructure such as oil, and it is really choking right now on Ukraine. I mean, on Russia. And I think the bigger story here is, in the last 3 weeks, they have captured almost 150 square kilometers of really hard contested area in Luhansk. So for the first time, Joey, in this war, the last 2 months, more casualties than the incoming recruits.
The drones work. Now, with the ship, though, could it be, perhaps it came from the top, or could it just be you have a idiosyncratic, commander, crazy captain on board and just wanted to do something nuts?
Rogue, but I think that there is a standing order out there and I think this is controlled from the Kremlin to cause incidents.
Provoke. Yep, to provoke, exactly. I think it was Captain D or from the restaurant guy.
Long John Silver. Long John Silver. Yeah, Long John Silver.
It could have been Long John. Could have been Captain D's. Yeah. Captain Crunch could have been on board too.
It was about Captain Crunch, wasn't it?
Oh no! I'm almost imagining like an anime episode, and it's Ilya Ivanovich, and he's just like, I've hated the Americans my whole life.
This will be my finest hour.
All right, it's like, calm down.
What's so funny is, I don't know if you watched the 60 Minutes. They were talking to the Ukraine people that were doing these drones, and they had this one that was really cool. It's like a 6-foot John boat, like a little speedboat.
Yeah.
And what they do is, you seen that?
Oh,
they put it into ships, and you can't even get to it and shoot it down, and it lands right in and hits a $1 million Russian boat. It
Yep.
sinks it.
There's a guy. He's got a website. It's called Dark Waters. He's a former British analyst, and he does all the breakdown of all the drones. He does illustrations with all the components. And I'll tell you, what has happened out of the Ukraine is a cottage industry of all sorts of odd stuff. It's bizarre, it really is.
And I'll tell you one thing that just I don't know if you remember the Civil War general from the South, Nathan Bedford.
Do I know him? He's my favorite general of all time.
Oh, he's one of my favorites. They'd still teach tactics at West Point that he did. I was amazed that he wanted what he did in the middle of the night, put poison into the cavalry's food in the middle of the night so they couldn't get on the horses and fight the next day. I mean, this guy, it kind of reminds me of that movie with the Mel Gibson was in. What was it, Patriot?
The Patriot, yeah. So here's a true story, and I just found out it this weekend. I was reading something. So at the Battle of Selma here in Alabama, towards the end of the war, obviously, he was fighting and to keep the Selma Iron Works and the Selma Foundry and everything. Of course, they were pushed out. Well, Bedford Forrest was with his staff on the road when the 11th Indiana Cavalry come running up, and they got into an engagement, and they were able to to push them away, except for one Captain Anderson, a young Indiana cavalry officer who came at Bedford Forrest, Joey, and Bedford Forrest is reputed to kill 36 men in combat, and he slashes hard, and he hits Bedford Forrest in his left forearm, and it causes a massive gash, Joey.
Yeah.
But Bedford's got a revolver, and he's trying to get it. Well, after he slashes, he counter slashes and knocks his arm and cuts it here in his head, and he's bleeding profusely. And then he took his revolver over his other arm, and he fired and hit him once in the chest and killed the young captain. And he said after that, he goes, had he just thrust instead of parried again, I wouldn't be here to talk about it. Wow. So.
It's amazing how they still teach at West Point some of his tactics.
Well, they do, they do. And the Germans were very fond of American cavalry tactics in the war.
What's the fame? Firstest with the mostest?
You know that's attributed to him, but he never said
it's
that.
a kind of a cliche, apocryphal thing.
It is. It is a cliche.
What was the problem with the movie in the movie The Patriot? You notice the British were always they were always upset because they wouldn't come out and fight. They did the hit and run. Hit and run.
You remember what I think? You remember what the Scottish you know what the Scottish commander said in there about the French when they talked about the French? They fruit with their face and fight with their feet.
But I'm just shocked by Russia with all the troubles they got going on.
Doesn't
They're
surprise
trying
me.
to provoke Sweden. They're trying to provoke all these people.
So there's an idea that they may try to make a military push for some islands off of Sweden. I've been reading about it. I think it's garbage. I don't think they're in any position to do anything. You know, it's sad, but here's the deal. Bottom line is this: that incident yesterday in Hormuz in the Straits was a clear signal. Don't come or go past this line of demarcation. So we'll see.
Well, I appreciate
Sweden.
Yeah.
Sweden had those F-35s that we sold them, which I'm glad.
Yep.
And they're on call 24/7, and they said they got them up in 15 minutes to intercept.
Yep.
15 minutes, that's bad.
And let me tell you, they got the Gripen, which I think is an incredible fighter. It's fifth generation, but it's good. Fourth generation, but it's good. All right. Well, that was a good call. Yeah, thank you, buddy.
272-9228. It's 334-272-9228. Yeah, and CENTCOM put out the video of what happened in Hormuz. Kind of crazy.
They did the calls and warning, and they said, get out of the engine room. We're gonna do it.
Obviously, I can't prove it. My gut tells me the Russians are doing it. It was a localized thing because it doesn't make any freaking sense strategically, given their position right now.
I concur. And here's the other thing. Apparently, I watched the analysis of it. That ongoing issue when they finally shot had been going on for 4 to 6 hours, they said, where there was warnings telling them they're heading into in a direction. No response. Speed stayed steady, then it started to come down, and then they said that there was about 5 checkpoints between here that they were directly told what was going on.
So and what was the initial excuse? We had the right of way, or we were in the right of way. Maybe that literally is what's like, Captain, we're not. No, we're in the right of way, and he just like wouldn't listen. It could have been just some dumb, stubborn moment.
It could have been. I can't imagine the Russian, what's left of the Russian Navy as much of a professional force at any rate. So
and just the nature of the drone warfare.
Maybe too much vodka.
Especially, I watched a pretty in-depth video on how they are creating this essentially kill zone 10 miles behind the line of contact, and it's destroying any sort of logistics supply lines. And the Russians were gaining territory by sending in groups as small as like 2-3 men.
They were using that. That's the Wagner technique at Bakhmut, which worked. But the problem is everything is under the eye in the sky. There's nowhere to hide on the battlefield whatsoever.
You almost need like worms, like in Dune, to go under the ground.
That's
maybe that's under development. Who knows?
DARPA's worm.
Like it might very well be in this crazy world.
Robo-worm.
So again, Trump put out, because I guess it's counter signaling against some of the media. And this is one thing I was thinking about right after the 2024 election. Could this behemoth that is the new media, they were all got behind Trump against sort of the corporate press and the progressives and stuff. But could that become a Frankenstein monster that then tears into Trump and goes after him? And I think the answer now that we're 2 years into this is yes.
Absolutely.
Especially when you look at Trump's relationship with like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, all these other folks. I still like Tucker. I don't like Candace. Never have. But it's not just those two. It's bigger than just the big names. It's sort of the entire ecosystem.
Yep.
And so here's what Trump put out today on 420. Okay. Israel never talked me into the war with Iran. The results of October 7th, added to my lifelong opinion that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, did. I watch and read the fake news pundits and polls in total disbelief. 90% of what they say are lies and made-up stories, and the polls are rigged, much as the 2020 presidential election was rigged. Just like the results in Venezuela, which the media doesn't like talking about, the results in Iran will be amazing. And if Iran's new leaders, regime change, are smart, Iran can have a great and prosperous future. President DJT. And he is sticking to his guns. And Venezuela is the micro model of what he's trying to do with Iran.
Absolutely.
It's very clear.
Yeah.
And actually, I heard this many moons ago from a more theoretical point of view. It's like, we don't care who's in charge of XYZ country. I even heard this in context of Europe. In fact, let's just put a big QR code on top of the embassy, and whoever's in charge, just scan that thing and get in touch with us. Yeah. But other than that, we don't care anymore.
We really don't. And I think when you said this, if anyone's doing deductive logic in what you just said, they'll understand what I'm about to say. Mm-hmm. That Venezuela, Iran, what's the common denominator? Oil. Okay.
Absolutely.
And who is our greatest threat to our country? China. This is about controlling China ultimately.
Oh, absolutely. And then I guess the last choke point we don't have major control over, it's still India, is what's Straits of Malacca, but we have just inked the deal with Indonesia, I believe. So,
and we actually have fairly good relations with it. Because
the issue with China, is my understanding at least, is we forget, because you can just look at that map that was in your civics classroom.
Sure.
And you think, wow, we got ships for the Pacific Ocean. And then you don't realize how big it is, the amount of territory.
Enormous. It is.
And so, we don't have a Navy big enough in order to truly patrol that. So how do you keep China from essentially breaking that first island chain, that periphery, which the unsinkable aircraft carrier is Taiwan? And, it's always been the naval power. So if you could use your naval power to essentially choke off energy choke points around the world to your benefit.
It's what we did against Japan in 1939, 1940 with the Dutch East Indies. We started to try to cut back their ability to fuel their war machine. And here's the thing. You make a good point. We don't have enough ships to blockade everything or control everything. But I'll tell you what we do have. We have enough to cut off the supply points. And that's what we're doing.
Trump saying of all these threats by Iranian leaders that they're not going to show up to the next round of peace talks. He says, I have no problem meeting with them if they want to meet, and we have some very capable people, but I have no problem meeting them. And Trump signaled Iran must come to the table for serious discussions just an hour after Tehran claimed it would not be meeting the American delegation in Islamabad. We're supposed to have talks, Trump said in a brief interview with the New York Post. So I would assume at this point, nobody's playing games. Maybe this is they're heading over now, Trump said. Trump said it was highly unlikely for the ceasefire to be extended, noting that he expects the fighting to resume if no deal is made by then. At the heart of the negotiations, of course, Trump said his one non-negotiable demand, Iran must abandon any pursuit of nuclear weapons. Get rid of the nuclear weapons. It's all very simple. There will be no nuclear weapons.
That's non-negotiable for them. They're not going to.
Otherwise, a wonderful country. It truly could be. But Trump didn't spell out the consequences Tehran would face if it refuses to comply or if the talks collapse. Well, I don't want to get into that, he said. You can imagine it wouldn't be pretty. So
no.
We'll see this with the blockade was after going to a crazy threat. The blockade is more a long-term sort of stranglehold and to open up the straits. But as a negotiator, I'm a great negotiator. But how bad is it when you have people from your own country trying to reach a deal? They are helping the other side. Talking about the Democrats and the media here in the United States. The other side has nothing. They have no cards, but they are using this to delay. When Schumer was in, he was in Afghanistan for so long. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. You want to get in on the conversation. Hopefully we can get Austin Branco on the phone, though he might be busy with the uncertainty that all this war brings to the economy. But though oil up a little bit today.
Yes, I was looking at
Dow down about 0.5%. Dow, NASDAQ down about 0.5% today.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
It's Monday.
It's kind of
Monday.
a flat, seesaw that we've been seeing for the last several weeks.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hunger doesn't always look the way you think, but it's closer than you realize. On Saturday, May 9th, join the Budget Bites battle at the Heart of Alabama Food Bank and turn awareness into action. Teams will go head-to-head, creating a full meal for $5 per person or less in just 60 minutes. Every $1 raise provides 5 meals for neighbors in need. Now we need you. Register your team today at hafb.org. Deadline is May 2nd. Be part of the solution. Cook with purpose, fight hunger one meal at a time.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Hi, I'm Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop Wellness Center at 8161 Vaughan Road. You know, with over 30 years experience in natural wellness, I've seen countless health fads come and go. A few years ago, we added a patented technology that actually activates your stem cells. It reverses the aging process at the cellular level. However, you do need proper hydration and targeted nutrition. At the Herb Shop, our advanced scanning and testing technology allows us to accurately assess your nutritional needs and get a customized plan for you. Come in today and see what the Herb Shop can do for you.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Austin Branco with Invista Advisors. Hey, Austin, how you doing today?
Well, having a great Monday, Joey. How are y'all?
Very good. And we were just talking about this whole, are they going to actually negotiate? Are they not? Are the peace talks going to fall through? What's going to happen with the blockade and other follow-up actions? And this seems to be driving a lot of the conversation around the economy for the day, at least.
Yeah, geopolitics is definitely the dominant variable in the markets right now. Just to kind of give a brief recap of where we come this year, we've dropped, depending on which indices you're looking at, 10 to 15%, from January all the way through, late February, early March with a sharp rebound hitting all-time highs last Friday on a surge. And then we've kind of gone back to the negotiating table. There's a lot of disruption again in the Middle East. So we're having kind of mixed indices today, some up, some down, but generally speaking, a relatively flat day. So what we're watching and kind of the bull case would be, earnings are going to come in strong, the tensions with Iran stabilize, and the price per barrel of oil retreats. But the bear case is, hey, oil stays expensive. You're going to see inflation, continue to rear its ugly head through many markets. Just oil in general, the cost of that increases the cost of all goods because you have to transport them around the world. And if that happens again, wouldn't be surprising to see another 10 to 15% pullback between now and when resolution is found. So, we're in an extremely volatile market right now. I don't think the time, to panic sell or necessarily panic buy is here. I want things to stabilize before we make any major decisions. So that's the way we're looking at it at Invista, and hope the listeners are all staying diligent as well.
Again, folks, we're talking to Austin Branco with Invista Advisors. And for folks out there listening and maybe just hearing us for the first time, or maybe they were, doing something else while they heard us in the background, it's more than just like advice on asset management, as we were just discussing. Y'all can do all of the above across the board, financial planning, wherever somebody's in life. I guess the idea would be it's never too early, never too late.
Yeah, that's right. Most people find it interesting to talk about markets and economics, but before you talk about that, you have to have a financial plan and understand what direction you want to go with the assets you've accumulated throughout your career. And so if you don't know what your retirement plan is, how you're going to put your kids through college, how you're going to take care of your parents later in life, if you're a business owner and you built a business and don't know how you're going to monetize to retire and need someone to do evaluation and go out and market your business to sell for you, if you're making a large purchase, anything in the world of finance that you do not have a plan for, let us and our team at Invista Advisors build you a plan and then take it from there and help you manage those assets. That's really what we specialize in.
And that number to call to start the conversation with Invista folks is 387-0094. And when you call them up at 387-0094, be sure to tell them you heard Austin Branco on the radio with Joey Clark.
Awesome. Thank you, Joey and Troy, and you guys have a great day.
Cool. Have a good one.
Appreciate it, man. Again, that's Austin Branco with Invista Advisors.
The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. The opinions expressed in this material do not necessarily reflect the views of LPL Financial. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice is offered through Invista Advisors, registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
Coming up in the next hour, there's all sorts of things we could touch on. For instance, why the FBI secretly investigated Bigfoot in the brutal truth they found. Congress publishes list of 28 House members investigated for sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
Which covers all manner of sins.
Look, man, come on.
Yeah. Like, some people, it's a dirty phone call. Like somebody was macerating their strawberries on the phone. And then in other ones, it's like straight up, he forced himself upon me.
Foot tapping in the bathroom.
Yeah, you got to be careful. This is a reason to learn Morse code so you know what it means. I just had headphones in. The song was
Blue Falcon. That's 2 taps.
Also have James Carville not hiding the ball. His plans of the Dems take over somehow, regain power. And it's a little over the top, but it's James Carville. What do you expect?
He's kind of pitiful now. Wearing that Tennessee gear, and he's a former Marine, and all my Marine friends say he's not considered one anymore.
And Hegseth, Rubio, among 6 other cabinet members, and I think the president is joining in a week-long scripture marathon for reading parts of Scripture, parts of the Bible for America's 250th birthday. And then also the president at the end of last week, we had a few clips here, signed an executive order on psychedelic therapy offers new hope for veterans battling PTSD.
So I guess what I've been doing is going to be legal soon then.
You can put it that way.
Robin, did you hear that? The mushrooms are fine.
You can put it that way. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway, we'll be right back. You like the new
I love it. The bumper music, it's at.
We'll be right back.
Mr. Sandman.
Joey Clark.
From the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
By New in Washington.
Iran is threatening a response after the U.S. Navy seized Iranian flagged cargo vessel and the contents inside. Meanwhile, Pakistan is trying to broker a ceasefire, hopefully one that will be even stronger than the existing one. And that is set for talks this week in Islamabad, Pakistan. Weather officials have confirmed at least 2 more tornado touchdowns during Friday's outbreak of severe weather in the Quad Cities. Those tornadoes were both rated as EF1 twisters, impacting parts of Livingston County near Fairbury and near Mendota in LaSalle County. Democrats looking to gain a huge advantage in the state capital as Virginia's head to the polls tomorrow in an unusual April referendum in which a single state ballot question on redistricting could have a nationwide impact. This is SRN News.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Alabama Wholesale Lumber. It's more than just great prices on lumber. From Trex decking to energy-efficient windows and Tamco shingles, Alabama Wholesale Lumber has it all.
Well, hi, everybody. Look for a nice rebound in the temperatures by this afternoon after that cool start. Sunshine with a high temperature up to about 79 today. Mostly clear skies. Still chilly tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 49. The warm-up continues tomorrow with a high temperature in the lower 80s and still warmer mid-80s on Wednesday and Thursday with more sunshine. Small chance of showers pops up on Friday, but a better chance of showers and thunderstorms over the upcoming weekend. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Feeling the pressure of high credit card rates? ASC Credit Union has you covered with a low 1.99% APR on balance transfers. Move your balances in March or April and lock in that 1.99% rate through your October statement. Visit ASC Credit Union today. Federally insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. Wetumpka police are investigating a Sunday afternoon shooting that left a person in critical condition. The shooting happened at the Rev convenience store at the intersection of Coosa River Parkway and Highway 14, where the victim was shot multiple times. According to Wetumpka Police Department, a suspect has been taken into custody. No additional details have been provided. Montgomery police continue to investigate a deadly Friday night shooting. MPD responded to the 3200 block of Mobile Highway just after 10 p.m. where an adult male had been shot. The unidentified victim was pronounced dead on the scene. No information regarding motive or suspect has been issued. The International Hot Rod Association has relocated the upcoming Outlaw Nitro Series event from Montgomery International Dragway. The decision follows a recent shooting at the Dragway prompted by an abundance of caution for safety. The event scheduled for May 7th through 9th in Montgomery will now take place in Hebron, Ohio. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Congressman Barry Moore has always delivered for Alabama. As a member of the House Freedom Caucus, Barry Moore earned a score of 100 from Heritage Action for protecting our values. He's helped thousands of Alabama families, fought for our veterans as a veteran himself, and secured millions for infrastructure, first responders, and public safety. Barry Moore helped pass Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, delivering tax cuts for hardworking Alabama families, and stood strong to secure our borders. Now, Barry is taking that fight to the United States Senate. Barry Moore will defend our freedoms, defend the Second Amendment, protect our children, stand up for parents, and keep boys out of girls' sports while continuing to cut taxes and lower prices. Endorsed by President Trump, Barry Moore is a proven conservative Alabama can trust.
I'm Congressman Barry Moore. I've rolled up my sleeves in Congress, and I'll keep fighting for Alabama in the U.S. Senate. I'm Barry Moore, a conservative fighter, and I approve this message.
Approved and paid for by Barry Moore for U.S. Senate.
It's Prattville City Fest, presented by Prattville Baptist Hospital, May 1st through 2nd in historic downtown Prattville. Live entertainment, arts and crafts, food, and Pepsi products by signature sponsor Pepsi. Prattville City Fest, presented by Prattville Baptist Hospital, May 1st through 2nd in historic downtown Prattville. It's free.
For more than 50 years, the Tears family's been keeping the river region flowing with Roto-Rooter. From drain cleaning to septic repair and installation, no job's too big or too messy with a local team you can trust. So when water won't go where it's supposed to, call the hometown experts who've been serving Montgomery for over half a century. That's 272-7130. Or visit rotorooteralabama.com. And remember,
call Roto-Rooter, that's the name. And legal troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Alabama weather will never fail to surprise you. Our lawns hardly get a chance to have any downtime, and as usual, it's already time to start getting ready for spring. This year, save the hard work and aggravation and call Alabama Lawns, the river region's leader in weed control and fertilization services. What makes Alabama Lawns the river region's best? It's the people. They have the experience, education, and commitment to customer satisfaction. Ask your neighbors. Alabama Lawns has been the Montgomery Advertiser's Reader's Choice Award winner 14 years in a row. The Alabama Lawn staff is made up of long-term employees and agronomy graduates, and the staff at Alabama Lawns attend annual continuing education classes. It pays to have someone that knows southern grass types and how to keep them green and flourishing. Call Alabama Lawns today at 272-7171 and let them show you real value in lawn maintenance service. Alabama Lawns, the company with black trucks and green lawns.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. And without further ado, it's time for our bi-weekly visit with Alan Mendenhall with the Heritage Foundation. Alan, how you doing today, kind sir?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Very good. Life is going swimmingly. Now, before we jump into your op-ed today, and I love the headline, DEI's days in the corporate world are numbered. Your one from last week, I just got to ask the basic question. How did little Jimmy, as Judge Napolitano calls him, how did James Madison anticipate a whole school of economic thought all those many moons before it actually came to the scene? How did he anticipate public choice economics? And maybe we could break this down for the listeners, but I find this fascinating, this insight you found.
Yeah, well, I think his premise is that people aren't necessarily virtuous. They're not perfectly virtuous at a minimum, and politics has to account for self-interest and imperfection. And public choice economics is it's about how politicians and bureaucrats act in self-interest and with mixed motives, and not in just pure public interest. In that sense, they're like everybody else. They act in their self-interest. And so when we're considering government and what its structure should be and how it should operate, we can't just rely on good people. We have to rely on core mechanisms like checks and balances, separation of powers. And the purpose is to control ambition with competing ambition, to prevent a concentration of power, because it's just the inevitable way of humans to try to consolidate power. So it's interesting. And I think that the fact that we were doing all this in Munich suggests that Madison's insights are relevant beyond the United States of America. And in fact, the people who were there discussing these works with me were from mostly other countries. There were a few Americans, but they were mostly from other countries.
Yeah, and it reminds me of it's a classic clip. We've played it to death, but maybe we'll have to bring it back alive. Milton Friedman sitting down with Phil Donahue.
Yeah,
and he says, "What do you? Who are these angels that you have governed? You don't think the Soviet commissar is greedy?" And it is a fascinating thing that once you slap public on whatever institution or office that a person might hold, people do sort of assume the best intentions or the worst intentions.
Yeah, really.
And what I like is this nuanced view of no, it is just self-interest at play. Though I'd imagine the temptations of power perhaps are a little more corrupting than even the temptations of, let's say, basic greed and money, but especially when the two start to mix, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, economic systems depend on incentives and constraints too, just like these government systems, according to Madison, do, which means they don't just depend on like virtue. I think the difference is actually there probably is less virtue in the governmental systems than in markets, because in general markets where you have private actors responding to incentives and sending price signals by what they want to buy, you're mostly dealing with, I don't know, parents trying to afford a better life for their children, trying to buy groceries, trying to get through life. And those are the signals that they're sending on the marketplace. Whereas politicians really mostly are people who are worried about power, reputation, getting reelected. How do I please my lobby corps? All these kinds of things. So they're necessarily drawn into the vortex of power, even if they are good and virtuous people. But markets are outside of all of that. And for the most part, you're dealing with, the aggregate decisions made by private people and businesses outside the coercion of government bureaucrats.
Now, and I want to expand this out a little bit. Just one line I want to read that you wrote in here, and I think it's just fantastic. Quoting you from your piece of last week, quote, "But here's the thing about understanding. It does not matter that the idea itself was already available. What matters is the moment it becomes yours. When it stops being a fact, it becomes a thought you've genuinely held." And, I've been going through a lot of that in a lot of different ways of late.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a beautiful and also just probing and great insight that sometimes folks have known things or been at the party for a long time. It can be a little standoffish. It's like, oh, you just figured that out. But I think this is just how the mind works. You could have something right in front of your face for years, and finally it clicks as something you actually embodying, or at least get.
Yeah, nobody can know everything. It doesn't matter how smart someone is or how much they study or how much they research. There is always information out there that they don't know because there's just too much information for one mind to actually process and retain. And so I'm sure that this idea that James Madison was some sort of proto public choice economist is not novel. I'm sure somebody has had this idea long before I have and probably articulated it better and probably did it in some thesis with extensive footnotes and many, many pages. But for me, the realization was new, it was fresh, and it meant something to me. I thought it was important. And yeah, I wrote about it. And yeah, what I wrote was not a dissertation, was not a book, but I thought it was still valuable exercise.
It's anytime we talk about our founding fathers, Alan, it just, most people cannot appreciate how visionary and how just brilliant they were, and how it's really timeless in the applications. And the fact that James Madison, there's a lot of things James Madison wrote, and the fact that he was, let's be honest, he understood economics and he understood human nature, I think, and that's just fascinating to me this day to see the legacy that they leave.
Yeah, I love reading the Federalist Papers. I'm more of an anti-Federalist by disposition, but initially, I think it's actually interesting that Madison didn't want to write a Bill of Rights into the Constitution to begin with, but his reasons are pretty sound. It was that, okay, if we enumerate these things, that will imply that anything not listed isn't in there, and it would be a limiting thing, and we don't want to actually limit the rights that are being retained in this Constitution. So by not enumerating them, we open the document up to more possibility. But if we just say there are only 10, then what if we miss something later down the road? Like, that would be even more dangerous. So I respect that reasoning.
Well, and it's I guess the compromise there was the Ninth Amendment saying, hey, this is not an exhaustive list. And what I find funny is I don't know how often the Ninth Amendment's even ever been before the Supreme Court as part of an argument, which is frustrating where, the legal tradition sometimes has taken things away from the natural rights tradition. But it is fascinating. The point Troy brings up is how could these guys in that time period have such vision, including they wouldn't know the specifics of the technological changes stuff came. And there, I guess, is something about understanding the natural law.
That's right.
That it gives that extra insight to where things do change, and they've changed rapidly in the last 250 years in astounding ways. But the basics, the human nature doesn't change. And I suppose I'm definitely in that camp of sort of the tragic view of human nature, the fallen view of human nature. I'm not in this progressive utopia, and we can be completely perfect if we just have the right political systems in place.
Yeah, I think you and I have that in common. I agree. And one interesting thing about the founders is I think historically there's been a bad tendency to either lionize or celebrate them as perfect people on the one hand, and on the other hand, to just demonize them for all their sins. And I think when we're dealing with the founders, we need to teach them warts and all, but not all warts. In other words, you don't treat them as if they were perfect angels. This is exactly what Madison said about human beings. He wouldn't have thought that of himself and his colleagues as being angels. But we also need to acknowledge what they did historically was not only impressive, but one of the most impressive moments in human history. It really is astounding. And it was an intellectual movement. And these were learned men who were working hard on a document that was produced at a very formative period of modern history.
Now, I want to shift gears, and again, folks are talking to Alan Mendenhall, and you can always go to, I believe it's alanmendenhall.com if you want to check out his work, or just find him at the Heritage Foundation. And your piece out today at 1819 News is DEI's days in the corporate world are numbered. Well, that's music to my ears, but I almost wonder if the folks who set up these structures ever thought this sort of day would come for them.
I think people had this progressive notion of history, speaking of progressives, where history is just this thing that moves constantly forward and everything is necessary progress. But that's just not the case. People who actually study history would be able to say, there are periods of regression, digression, advancement. Things happen in fits and starts. They go backwards, they go forwards. And, it's not just some linear progression. And DEI, in my view, is actually a setback to progress, if anything. I mean, I am very pleased by some of the developments in corporate America, whether it's, whether it's things like Goldman Sachs getting rid of their board diversity requirements, or NASDAQ's board diversity rule getting struck down in court. I mean, there are all kinds of things happening, but corporate America is rapidly moving away from DEI, and it's not just because of the Harvard admissions case that came out, but it's a vibe shift. There's something changing, and people are realizing that what DEI does is actually discriminate on the basis of race. It doesn't treat people's actions as meritorious or not. It treats surface level characteristics, which you don't choose, as the defining feature of human goodness or badness. And that's necessarily racist. So DEI is actually, in its function, completely racist. And that's not acceptable. And so at the Heritage Foundation, one thing we've done is we've filed all these shareholder proposals. Some of them have involved federal contractors. And what this article specifically dealt with, this 1819 News piece today specifically dealt with, was the shareholder proposal that we did at various federal contractors, because federal contractors are clearly subject to these federal laws regarding DEI. And the DOJ has already announced that it's going to go after companies that are doing DEI because they are breaking the law. And so we as shareholders have a duty to point this out to the companies where we hold shares and to say, look, you're doing DEI and this is subjecting you to great risk. And we had some really good withdrawals at General Dynamics, Dell, RTX, and GE Aerospace, where they said, you're right, shareholder, we will stop doing this DEI. Thanks for pointing it out. And to me, that's a huge win. So of our 26 shareholder proposals filed this year, those are some big ones.
Yeah, and I'm seeing big names. Yeah, General Dynamics, Dell, RTX, GE, Aerospace, like these are massive industries.
It really is.
And I like the point too that it is almost like a recapitulation, like of the old hierarchies. They're like, what if we flipped the pyramid and then just did the same discriminatory practices? And we'll discriminate in the right direction, which for the life of me seems like a deeply undermining the whole idea of dignity, like the people marching in this very city holding a sign saying, I am a man, like appealing to that universal, like brotherhood under God. And so it seems like it just became this new version of maybe an old system that needs to go in a different direction. And then on top of that, though, it's not just bad on, say, a moral basis in the products of these things, of these sort of moral understandings or misunderstandings, I should say. Yeah. You also end up, maybe you're working at General Dynamics and you hire somebody that isn't good at their job because, you're picking out for the wrong reasons. And I think that hurts our excellence, our merit at the end of the day.
It hurts our excellence. It hurts our national security. And it deeply embeds actual racism in the system because people look at, say there's an African-American who gets a position. Well, if DEI is in place, people just say, well, that person clearly didn't earn it. That person just got it because he's black or whatever. And that's what the system incentivizes, is that type of thinking. Whereas if you make it purely merit-based, then everybody will treat people's advancement in the organization as meritorious. And DEI is essentially a violation of Martin Luther King's famous dream. I mean, he had a dream that people would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And this is the inverse. DEI is, we're not going to evaluate you, in fact, on the content of the character, but we're going to prioritize the color of your skin over the content of your character. Well, that's exactly what Martin Luther King Jr. did not dream of.
So I can tell you both, after working in the Department of Defense and as a civil, obviously as a green suiter, but then as a civilian and in multiple agencies, that the contractors, the federal contractors, go as the federal government directs them, and they are being evaluated. And so when this push came down from people like C.Q. Brown, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, saying that we're going to take that pyramid, Joey, where these are up here, there's all these white pilots here, we're going to flip it upside down and we're going to put them on the bottom and build up. And the thing is, so too, as the federal government does, those contractors will go. And I can tell you this, and it was very bizarre to me, every staff meeting, when we had a joint staff, there was always an EEOC or a diversity officer on there that was always being sprinkled with good idea fairy dust. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
good idea fairy dust. That's I like that. I like that phrase.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating to see, and you saw it in many ways where, like, if the goal is to create a higher proportion of so-called marginalized groups, right. Well, you could try to hire more people from different groups, or you could just hire less people from the dominant group. And I think you get this effect that it's taking away. But in many ways, I know the Trump administration has been big on this, but Heritage Foundation deserves a lot of credit engaging these corporations this way. And just to be clear, this is something like y'all are doing out of a sense of responsibility and wanting to preserve the idea of the corporation and responsible corporate governance. This isn't just ripping it up, devil take the hindmost, dog eat dog. This is like, no, we need responsible corporations, and what they've been doing just wasn't that.
Yeah, actually, when we do our engagements and we meet with C-suite executives, sometimes they come into the meetings expecting us to have this posture where we want to destroy them. We want to grandstand. We want to have a big PR stunt. And then they're a little disarmed when we come in and we're professional and we're nice. And we tell them, look, we just want you to focus on your core business purpose and to maximize profits and stop misallocating resources to things that are toxic to your company. We want you to be a good company. We want you to have a good business. We want you to succeed. And these things are causing you not to succeed, but we're totally into fiduciary duty. We want you to focus on your core business purpose. And that's what our concern is. And this is welcome news to them because they're so used to being engaged by leftist activist shareholders who are trying to push them to the left. And in fact, we've had some executives tell us, thank you for finally pushing us in this direction. We've been feeling the pressure from only one side, and nobody on the right has said anything to us. So we've just continuously moved to the left. But hey, you know what? Wink, wink, we're conservatives too. We don't want to be doing this, but no shareholder has told us to stop. So thank you. All we needed is some shareholder to tell us to stop.
Amen. Now, before I let you go, and again, folks, we've been talking to Alan Mendenhall. You can always go to alanmendenhall.com. Just search for Alan Mendenhall on Google, and you find him on Heritage and many places. He's on many outlets doing a lot of media hits, and it's always great, folks. So check that out. I want to throw, it's kind of a curveball, but I guess it's more to do with me. You know, my op-ed tomorrow is going to be called, I believe, Will I Leave Hometown Montgomery Behind? And you know, a mutual friend of ours, Jeff Dice, said, don't abandon your hometown. He told me that months ago, and it's always stuck in my mind. But I guess my straightforward question to you is, you've spent time here in Montgomery, but would you want to live in Montgomery? Like, what do you think of this place?
Well, I live in Auburn, so I am very happy to be living in Auburn. So I don't know that I would go in that direction on 85 to live. I'm comfortable staying put in Auburn. But if you're asking me more broadly, would I like to stay where I am? Right now, life's complex, but I enjoy living in Auburn. I enjoy living in College Town. Obviously, I'm raising my children here. I have a very complex life that gets me on the road traveling quite a bit. But I feel as if Auburn is my home, and I have family roots here. I've got ties here that go back many, many generations. If you had told me when I was 21 that I was going to make my life in Auburn, I would have been very surprised, especially after I had, even beyond 21, when I had lived in Brazil and I had lived in England and I had lived in Japan and I had lived in DC and I'd done all these things. And if you had told me I would have ended up back in Auburn, I would have been very surprised, but I am quite happy that that is the case.
Yeah, and it is cool when you see you're brought back to your roots, but I think you can take those roots and the things you learn with you. I don't know. I'm torn. I don't have to decide today as my basic punchline of the essay for all sorts of reasons. Don't have to decide today. And honestly, my aunt and uncle moved to Auburn, and I see them living up there, and I'm like, it is the loveliest.
So here's a spoiler alert for you. If you didn't hear it earlier when he read it, he considers heaven and the loveliest place on the plains, Auburn. So he says, do I stay or do I go there?
I'm not sure I helped you make this decision any easier, did I? I commuted from Auburn to Montgomery for, probably almost a decade before I commuted from Auburn to Troy. So it's definitely doable, Joey. We could have drinks one night.
Yeah, I knew who I was asking. So, but I always appreciate your time, Alan. And again, if folks want to check out what you're up to, how can they do so?
They could just go to my website, alanmendenhall.com, or just Google my name and search around.
All right. Well, I appreciate it as always. We'll talk again soon. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Joey. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Troy.
Yep, no problem, buddy.
Again, Alan Mendenhall, folks. Always appreciate his time.
He's good.
We'll be right back after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Running a facility is already demanding. You don't have time for miscleaning, sick days, or inconsistent results. At Janney King Gulf Coast, we have a proven method to solve those problems. Our franchise owners are trained and supported, and our franchise model means the people cleaning your building care about the outcome as much as you do. If your cleaning company is creating more work instead of preventing it, it's time for a clean that you can count on. Visit JanneyKingCleans.com to learn more.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
This is your roving reporter. Today I'm talking with a prospector. That's right, man. I'm prospecting for gold. You dig? No, but it looks like you do. And you know the first thing I'm going to do when I strike it rich? What's that? I'm going to hire David Ernest to be my money man. You mean everyone's favorite asset preservationist? That is correct, man. I'm going to call him up at 833-596-7233. 833-596-SAFE. You know, I've heard a lot of good things about David Ernest. You know, he's the best money man around with over 40 years of experience. Experience is necessary, especially when you're digging for gold. That's right, man. And I can see that you don't have very much experience. What do you mean, man? Well, you have the little plastic bucket and shovel like a kid would take to the beach. Yeah, man, well, I want to start out small and then kind of pace myself up until I strike it rich. Well, maybe you should call David Ernest first. You think he's got a shovel? Never know till you ask. I dig, man.
Attention River Region business owners. Local counties are now inspecting and enforcing backflow prevention requirements. Headley Plumbing is fully certified to install, repair, and test backflow preventers, helping you stay compliant and avoid costly violations. We've been serving the River Region for decades with dependable professional service you can trust. No membership, no contract, just fair, reliable service. Call Headley Plumbing at 285-3667 or visit headleyplumbing.com. In our business, a flush beats a full house.
Headley Metal Buildings has been your source for quality metal buildings in the River Region since 2007. Carports up to 24 feet wide, RV covers, storage buildings, even a sturdy metal barn up to 54 feet wide. Your structure can be customized, installed on level ground, and comes with a 20-year warranty. Let Headley Metal Buildings help you find the perfect solution. Financing available. Call 285-3667 for details or find Headley Metal Buildings on Facebook.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Wiley Sanders Truck Lines.
Truckers, listen up. A $2,500 sign-on bonus only at Wiley Sanders Truck Lines. Work for a company that puts God and family first. Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, work for the best in the business.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Look for a nice rebound in the temperatures by this afternoon after that cool start. Sunshine with a high temperature up to about 79 today. Mostly clear skies. Still chilly tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 49. The warm-up continues tomorrow with a high temperature in the lower 80s and still warmer mid-80s on Wednesday and Thursday with more sunshine. Small chance of showers pops up on Friday, but a better chance of showers and thunderstorms over the upcoming weekend. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
CB&S Bank, serving families and communities since 1906. Proud to be named 16th best performing bank nationally in their asset category by American Banker. Learn more at cbsbank.com. CB&S Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live, local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
You're listening
to Joey Clark.
Warm sound, clear sound, right here with Joey Clark. It's
Joey Clark.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Joey, and Troy Carrico here in the studio with me. Should I stay or should I go? Well, I don't have to decide today. I'll tell you what, this town's getting old, folks.
This town needs an enema.
I mean, a lot of great people here, though.
There's some great people. That's the problem.
That's
poor
why.
leadership.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
Let's go to Simpler Days. Hey, Simpler Days, how you doing?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hola.
Could you imagine, talking about diversity, could you imagine somebody that told Nick Saban he had to play 5 slow white guys? I don't think it would have happened.
That's
But
rat
anyway,
poison. That's rat poison, Simpler Days. That's just rat poison.
There you go. There you go. Hey, Joey, what motivated you to do this piece on should I stay or should I go?
I'll put it this way. As I've reverted back to my faith, I've just been thinking about all sorts of things, big and small. And so the thing that's been gnawing at my mind, and some days people have heard it on the radio, how much I've been torn about living here. And so, it made me start to think about, okay, how do I get rid of this anxiety first place and be able to look at the issues with the city and the pros of the city with clear eyes?
I had a counselor once tell me that most people have to have a significant emotional event to change or alter the course of their life. So I was just wondering if you'd had one. But it's like my daughter called me today, and she said she saw the piece in 1819 News, and I used to take her to drag races, and she graduated from Jeff Davis and AUM, and now she lives up north of Tuscaloosa. All my family's gone except for me. I'm the last holdout, and I'll be gone. My wife's retiring in December, and I'll be gone then too. But it just amazes me that the powers that be keep saying, and you hear it, well, there's nothing we can do about spontaneous killings. There's nothing we can do about. And I heard one community leader say, well, if you hired 5,000 police officers, they couldn't stop it. So if there's that sense of hopelessness, then the only alternative is to move.
Yeah, it really is.
And there's places in this state, Athens, Decatur, Gunnersville in the north, that you can go and you're not going to stop the crime faucet. You're not going to turn it completely off. But you can go places where it's a drip.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not depressing every day to turn on the news to hear somebody got killed on Friday night, somebody got shot on Saturday. It brings you down. And it's like my daughter said, what's happened there? What's going on since 1992 when I graduated from Jeff Davis? And it's just sad. And you look at places, you look at the state of Montana. Montana, though it's Billings, the largest city, about 190,000, they had 5 homicides last year.
Wow.
For the total of the state of Montana, they had 31 homicides. Montgomery had 60-something. What's Maslow's law? You want to go, safety is one of your first priorities?
Yep.
People want to feel safe. And if you're constantly hearing on the news, and you say, well, I'm not going to turn on TV, just don't listen to it. But you have relatives, you have friends, just like you were saying, that raise their eyebrow. You're still in Montgomery. You go to a high school reunion. Oh, you're still in one? Yeah, I'm still there.
You bring up a good point, Simpler Days, about Montana. But why is that? Okay, we know what the density of the crimes were per population, but what's the racial composition? What is the actual difference between here and there? And it's pretty obvious, because we know that crimes are committed, the preponderance of them, in excess of almost 80%, are committed by one element of one age group, of one demographic. And no one wants to talk about that.
And they say to you, if you say anything,
You're a Nazi.
well, the governor and the legislature passed this concealed carry law, and it's causing everything. You know what? Montana's had open carry forever. But in back 4 or 5 years ago, the legislature, because they thought somebody was going to mess with it, they made it even stronger to open carry. And the number 3 state in the United States for hunting permits is Montana.
I believe
so
that.
there's a whole lot of guns out there.
Well, and in this, thought, by the way, like the last 40, 50, 60 days have been very emotional in all sorts of ways. So you hit the nail on the head, your instinct on what's got me thinking about this. But I compared not just about me. I started thinking about the city. And I don't mean this as just like a symbolic or rhetorical flourish. I really think of the Exodus story, and that Montgomery is a city full of people who were freed. And they, as search and search and search, they can't quite get to the promised land. And if you reread Exodus, maybe you'll start to surmise for the modern day, like why that is. But I just feel that element of like, there's always this fight with like, we're freed, but we ain't there yet. And why? Well, it's because the governor or so-and-so did that, or all the folks that are naysayers about Montgomery and don't want us to succeed and yada, yada, yada. And I don't know. I find that part of the culture here a little frustrating. Like we almost have this identity crisis as a city and a people.
Well, people can stick their head in the sand and say, it's going on other places, and it's not just Montgomery. But there is an exodus. It's like, my sister, she lived in Carriage Hills, and she hung in there as long as she could, and then she had a guy show up at her door, and she opened the door, and he's standing there with a cell phone in his hand with porn on it, saying, "Would you be interested in this?" And I mean, it's just people don't want to admit what's going on, and it's like, well, we're all in this together, we're all in crime together, and there's nothing we can do about it. You just got to work through it. Well, no, there is something you can do about it, and that's what you're talking about, Joey. You can leave, and I just feel sorry for the people that financially, and so many poor people, so many people on fixed incomes, they can't leave, and they're trapped.
Oh, yeah, and it's
Have
a
a good
common
day,
thing.
gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Dad moved down to Lillian, Alabama. Another uncle and a lovely woman in his life live on the lake in Alex City. And brother and is following opportunity, especially with his wife as a doctor. Nashville now, but they'll probably end up in Greenville, South Carolina again if their plan, what goes according, everything goes according to a plan. Right. Other aunt and uncle got out of Montgomery, moved to Charlotte. Like cousins, one in Dallas, Fort Worth, another in Philly.
So what you're saying is you got options, Joe.
Yeah. Well, no, and my aunt and uncle, the last ones over here, moved to Auburn, and essentially they're not retired yet, but that's the plan, and they love living in Auburn. And then, my other uncle, he goes wherever the church tells him to go. That's right. He's in Mobile for the time being. The other one always has been in Orlando, but he got out of Montgomery a long, long time ago. My Uncle Mark was actually a reporter for the Montgomery Advertiser for a long time, has some hilarious stories about Joe Reed and how, like, he was doing this report and just investigating, wasn't rude about it, was trying to get a comment, and couldn't get a word back. And so he just wrote it. And all of a sudden, Joe wanted to be his best friend.
There you
go. But even him, I could see why he left, in the 90s. Like, there's a lot of reasons folks aren't staying here. And again, there are some folks that move here because they can retire here. There are some folks, especially if you're military, there's a lot of folks military go, man, Montgomery's not a bad spot to retire.
You're right, there is, but there's also a lot of veterans I'm talking to now that are getting ready to retire from D.C. and for certain areas, and they're asking me about Alabama, and I'm warning them about what's happened with the veterans since SB 67. So a lot of people choosing not to live here. But here's the bigger thing. Every year, it seems, Maxwell has to fight to stay here because the Air Force does not care for this city in terms of the crime, it's leadership, and bringing kids to school here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Admiral Davis was he was the impetus behind getting that on-base school certified. And that was a big deal because people come here without their kids and their wife.
Well, and then you don't have to go to far-flung places because, you know, sometimes people do have opportunity and just genuine things going on in life where you need to move. But just look at like the local exodus where folks just get out of the city limits. And why has Pike Road developed the way it's developed? Why is Prattville, just in my lifetime, look at how much Prattville continues to grow. And you can throw a lot of this on the white flight idea, but I think it's a lot more than just white folks leaving.
It is.
And it's interesting how it's hard to turn that around, that shrinkage problem. And even if the population's still around and they're not staying in the exact neighborhoods. By the way, I got a couple of calls earlier, massive house fire in Forest Hills. They're on, what do you say, Pleasant Grove, I believe, Pleasant Ridge, near the church, near Eastern Hills Baptist Church. I hope that was contained, but folks saying they're seeing billowing, dark black smoke rising up. And, you know, I live right over near there. And that's a shame, real shame to see. And I hope that is contained. Yeah. But, you know, and I don't want to be too much of a Debbie Downer in the sense of really going back to church, you start to feel the pull of just great people and community. And like, so don't get me wrong. In all these little kingdoms of Montgomery that don't seem to work together very well, there are all the truly great people, good things going on in every community. I mean that in every community. But there's something about how does this cohere going forward? And I think you have to start from the most fundamental stuff. But anyway, let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Mr. Joey.
Hey, Duke. How you doing?
Hey, Duke.
All right. What's up, sidekick up in the house?
You know, I've only been here for a little while, but they keep calling Joey sidekick, you mean? Duke, I knew you'd like that. I knew you would take that one. I knew you'd take that, Duke.
Y'all would toss the corn on that one.
More like kickstand.
Kickstand. No, you're the best.
Yeah.
Talk to us. What's going on?
This crime thing y'all talking about. I moved to Montgomery in '86, and people been moving because of crime and all that stuff for years and years and years and years. Just hadn't started there. Now,
I agree.
So you know, and watching, like I said, since I've been here, when I first moved here in Montgomery, you had both malls jumping, you know. Eastdale, Mall, Montgomery Mall. All that just went away.
Yep.
All the shopping centers, with Copeland's and all that new stuff they put over there at one time.
Yeah, but in the movie theater that was over there and all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, they had all this good stuff, so, you know. But nationwide, most malls shut down. Mobile, Dothan, they walking malls because of, I don't know, the young bros maybe cutting up too much for us.
Well, and the internet.
Internet,
You can buy
killed
stuff.
a lot of it, yeah.
But like Steve was talking about a while ago, want everybody to run. You know, people gonna be almost a Tuskegee after a while. You know, going up like roads, sitting around them damn woods. What the hell you running so much for? Let's fight and take your city back.
Amen.
Huh?
Amen. I agree with you. You were right. You know, like you said,
I mean,
you have the option to leave, but you can also fight, right? You can also help make it better, and that's really that's hard.
You got to stick together as citizens, and everybody strap themselves down.
That's right. That's
Let's go.
See, that's Duke. You're
But
smart, man.
no, they wanna run to Millbrook where some shooting took place last night or yesterday or whatever.
That was actually with Tom.
Yeah, we too getting some stuff going on. All these surrounding city got some stuff going on. They got Negroes in the city, don't they?
What was that?
They got some thugs Negroes in the city. They gonna cut
Your
up.
connection keeps breaking up, Duke. I don't know. Yeah.
What?
Y'all for real though. Every city they got these thug Negroes and they're gonna cut up. Y'all know that. So you can't. I disagree with you, Steve. When you get Negroes extra two to walk around with a damn gun in the hand, he gonna shoot somebody with it. Okay. That's the reason the people. That's the reason I asked somebody the other day was those people in Iran. Were they Negroes because They want everybody else to have a nuclear weapon besides these people. So certain people, you can't put stuff in their hands.
This is true.
Huh?
How do we fix
but
it?
the question also would be, how do you fix it, and
Yeah.
why is that an underlying issue? Like, why does that seem to be an issue in 2026 in particular?
I've been there for a year with us now. Us that's the place I want to go with.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know about the housing projects.
Right.
But they tore out all the housing projects in Montgomery and took all the apartments and made them into Section 8 places and all that good stuff.
Same thing, right? Just a different address, right?
Now I see East Montgomery, they got all these nice apartments going up, so you got to have some good money to get out there. So that's where all the
I got a question for you. So we look at the crime rate out of one element, about 17 to 23 young black males, but the preponderance is black on black crime, which is very problematic in terms of, I said that if you look at the preponderance of the crimes, okay, that's committed by one element, which is a 17 to 23-year-old black male, but it's against other blacks. And it's like you said, there's places you wouldn't go. I mean, the black community's got to take over at some point, whether it's the churches or somebody to bring them in.
Hold a minute. This way you gotta
Educate
split
me.
it down the middle right here.
Educate me.
You gotta split it down the middle, okay? Like all white folks ain't bad white folks, right?
Sure. Well, I mean, they're all sinners. Everybody's a sinner.
Now in this aspect, what are we talking about right now? All black folk not bad.
No,
people.
absolutely.
So for you to say that, so you to say that us blacks.
No. You're missing my point.
Let me explain myself why I want to go with this thing. Now, people tell me all the time, "Say your people." I said, "Hell, I don't know these people." The blacks that I deal with, they behave like me. Don't go around.
Shooting the place up,
and shooting places up, and having wars against the guys because he took your dope spot. A lot of that going on there. Gump wide up with drugs. Y'all know that.
Yep.
We ate up with it. Okay, so this is drop off Montgomery in the middle of the state county. Everything comes through Montgomery. So we got a big drug problem here. So most of these guys shooting each other over drug activity, a bad deal went wrong or something like that. So that's what's going on with these guys. So most of these, the thugs and the hood cats and the cats that's in the streets out there. So don't compare them to. Then we gotta go out and say these
I'm
guys.
sorry that's not what I was saying, Duke. Duke, I got you, brother. That's not what I was trying to say. If I came out wrong, then here's what I'm trying to say. It's unfortunate because the black community is the ones taking the brunt of this violence inside, and to me, it's just. It's if I was really mean, I'd say give guns to all the black young males. They'll take care of the problem, right? But I'm not. What I'm saying is that to me it's very troubling, and not because of your people or you, Duke. I take everybody. I was in the Army. Everybody's green. Are you going to fight or are you going to run from me? And that's the thing. So my point is, it troubles me when I look at those stats. I'm like, okay, this group's doing it, and they're doing it to their own neighbors, to their own city, and it just is troubling.
Yeah, they're saying these cats don't see color. All they see is an opportunity to rob your ass or kill you, take your stuff or take your cars and post up at the gas station. And I saw one video where this lady was getting gas. This guy came up and took her and all out and put in his damn car and took her gas.
Well, and
that bold man.
And I just noticed in my life how opportunities for stuff like that to happen is creeped into different parts of town where just it never was before, and it does just create a sense of insecurity. And like the mass shooting you had downtown, when it's a bunch of folks having a great time, most folks are not acting crazy, had no plans to act crazy, but because in particular you don't say have 100 more officers to actually actively patrol, you end up with, it was the night before, but you end up with these situations where they could happen. Now, I think it's a heart part. It's a church thing in many ways, but it's also a home thing as well as practical political policy. But, to me, it's not just the city government. It's not just Mayor Reed, though he bears a lot of responsibility. I look at Goat Hill. I look at a lot of the ways the dynamics of city, county, state governance works in this area, in this larger community, and it's hard to say that we are one community. So I don't know. We ain't going to solve it overnight. We don't have to decide today. I'm not making any decision about staying or going today.
I'll tell you what, though, Joey. I tell you what, though. Reed and the next mayor that comes through this city is not going to stop these cats from shooting each other. You can bet that. You can put thousands and thousands and thousands of police out there. Unless they stay in these people home.
No, you could get your baseline down a bit. Like there are ways that practically.
You take out about 5% of the perpetrators, you cure about 50% of the crime.
And also, when you're actively patrolling, and when people know where there aren't active patrols, people know when they have opportunity. If there are certain ways to make folks, at least hem it in a little bit. But you're right in terms of if somebody is evil in their heart and wants to do evil against someone else. This is why I've always asked when I see these instances, was that young man grafted into a church community? Was he brought into, God's family, even if his own family was broken up? And most of the time it's no. Does it always work? Again, people make their own choices, despite even the grace that's given to them. But it's frustrating to see the trend over all the years.
Here's the biggest problem we're having nowadays in society, though. In larger cities, I've heard in California and all these larger cities, they always had young cats, 8 and 9 years old, walking around with guns.
Yep.
You got that in Montgomery real badly right now, where you got little young kids walking around. You can't say nothing to them walking across the grass anymore. They turn around and shoot you because they got the gun on them. Somebody selling these cats these guns and putting them out on the street for these young cats to get them. They're not going to play video games with them. They're going to shoot you.
I pray every day, Duke. I pray every day. When I strap on, I say, today's the day. Let me show the city how to cure it.
Let me tell you how bad it is. I was riding down the road one day, me and my wife, and this guy in this mail truck. He was in a mail truck.
Uh-huh.
Big size mail truck.
Okay.
Or UPS. No, it was a mail truck.
Yep.
Anyway, he's weaving in out of the lane, going on, and so I rolled my window down and said something to him. He said it. He took out a gun and put it on the dashboard. That's what I'm gonna do about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had to punk out at that moment.
I'm about this. Yeah, I got you.
Okay. This happened last year now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm running out of time, man. It's a good conversation.
Good call.
And,
Thanks, dude.
always good talking to you, man.
Yeah, love you. Good, man.
272-9228. Do it at this break. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
A new year brings new opportunities, and right now the market is starting to shift.
Interest rates are beginning to come down, which means more buying power and more options for buyers who've been waiting.
If you're thinking about buying a home, this could be the moment to take that next step.
And whether you're buying, selling, or investing, having experience on your side matters more than ever.
At Hannah and Eddie Realty Group, we're also growing our team.
If you're an experienced agent ready to make a difference in this market and want to be part of a team that values knowledge, support, and results, call Hannah and Eddie Realty Group, where opportunity meets experience.
Don't miss the River Region Healthy Living Expo happening Thursday, April 30th from 10 to 2 at the Shops at East Chase. From senior health to total wellness, it's all here and admission is free. Learn more in the Check It Out section at WAKA.com.
When did watching TV go from a way to relax to a complicated chore? Well, if you're sick of huge cable bills or endlessly searching for the show everyone's talking about, then welcome to Philo. Philo's the streaming service that respects both your time and your wallet, without needing to cut the stuff you actually love to watch. This means live TV for more than 70 channels like Hallmark, History, A&E, and Lifetime, plus a huge library of blockbuster movies and classic shows, and an easy-to-use unlimited DVR that lets you save anything you want, skip all the ads when you watch. The best part? You get all this for just $25 a month when you sign up at Philo.tv. No hidden fees, no long contracts, just a genuinely great deal. And new users can try it completely free for 7 days. So head to Philo.tv, that's PHILO.tv, and experience a better way to TV. Subscriptions auto-renew at monthly rate plus applicable taxes. Cancel anytime. See terms at Philo.tv.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
The River Region's News Talk Station. News Talk 93.1, WACV. News Talk 93.1.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones. Talk to Michael Cohen with Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Joey.
Good to hear. And let's tell folks about the Cohen's experience here.
Well, the experience at Cohen's is that we always strive to do a great job, and a lot of that's visible with all the reviews that our delivery crew has been getting when they're delivering your new appliances, your refrigerator, washer, dryer. They face a lot of challenges trying to get it in the home, trying to maneuver, and sometimes these homes are mazes, and sometimes people have a lot of stuff, and so they got to get it in, they got to get the old one out. A lot of times there's cleaning from where the old one has been there for 5 to 20 years, depending on what it is, and they're doing everything they're supposed to do to make the customers happy.
Yeah, I will say, as a customer of Cohen's, the service is just fantastic. I mean, I love the TV. I bought the TV's awesome, but to have y'all come and install it, to make sure everything was set up correctly, and this applies for electronics and the appliance side. So, folks, it's the service that makes a difference, and almost 70 years in business and generations of customers as well. It's all in the family there at Cohen's. So, how can folks get in touch with you if maybe they just want to do a classic phone call to Cohen's?
Well, I mean, the easiest way is to give us a call at 277-8890. You can check us out online at thinkcohens.com. But the best way is to come by 2515 Eastern Bypass. Bring some pictures of whatever you're trying to upgrade and some questions, and let us ask you some questions and let us help you make the right choice to whatever your needs are.
Well, appreciate it, Michael, and hope you have a good rest of the week, man.
Well, thank you. You too.
Yep,
Take care.
Again, Michael Cohen with Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. We'll be right back after this.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Pakistan is hoping to broker another, hopefully longer-lasting ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran this week. Tensions have been escalating over the Strait of Hormuz since the U.S. shut down an Iranian cargo vessel it said was trying to get around the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. President Trump's refusal to end a criminal investigation of Jerome Powell is now delaying the confirmation of his nominee to replace the Fed chairman. Republican Tom Tillis is putting a hold on that nomination until more details come out about the president's opposition to Powell. This week, the nation's capital will be abuzz with the sound of scripture reading every day, at least between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. every day, until the Bible is entirely read over a 7-day span. The event is called America Reads the Bible, and tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, President Trump will take part reading the Bible from the White House. This is SRN News.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Wiley Sanders Truck Lines.
Truckers, listen up. A $2,500 sign-on bonus only at Wiley Sanders Truck Lines. Work for a company that puts God and family first. Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, work for the best in the business.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Look for a nice rebound in the temperatures by this afternoon after that cool start. Sunshine with a high temperature up to about 79 today. Mostly clear skies. Still chilly tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 49. The warm-up continues tomorrow with a high temperature in the lower 80s and still warmer mid-80s on Wednesday and Thursday with more sunshine. Small chance of showers pops up on Friday, but a better chance of showers and thunderstorms over the upcoming weekend. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Feeling the pressure of high credit card rates? ASE Credit Union has you covered with a low 1.99% APR on balance transfers. Move your balances in March or April and lock in that 1.99% rate through your October statement. Visit ASE Credit Union today. Federally insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions apply.
1819 News.
Governor Ivey has signed a bill into law that provides more accountability for those who are appointed to a board or a commission. The bill allows for state lawmakers who appointed those people to the boards to also remove them from those positions if they fail to fulfill their duties and responsibilities. The bill comes after multiple arrests were made related to the Motorsports Hall of Fame Commission where finances were mismanaged and stolen. The bill was offered by State Representative Chris Pringle and will go into effect here in Alabama on October 1st. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Are you enjoying 1819 News? If so, consider joining 1819 News as a member. As a nonprofit news organization, we depend on the support of Alabamians like you. Memberships start out as little as $5 a month, and you'll get access to exclusive content only offered to our members. You'll be supporting independent journalism done by people who cherish Alabama values. Become a member today by visiting 1819news.com and clicking Become a Member. That's 1819news.com and click Become a Member today.
A court preliminary hearing was canceled for this Monday involving an Enterprise woman who's been arrested for the disappearance and presumed death of her 2-year-old daughter. Adrian Reed was going to be in the Coffee County Courthouse on Monday afternoon, but that preliminary hearing was canceled by the judge with no further details. However, a grand jury did complete meeting last week under the direction of the District Attorney James Tarbox. This grand jury meeting indicates that indictments against Reed are forthcoming. 4 Huntsville family members have died in a plane crash in South Carolina. The plane crashed near the runway of the Union County Airport where the plane had stopped to refuel. 60-year-old James Moffitt, 61-year-old Lisa Moffitt, 30-year-old Andrew Moffitt, and 28-year-old William Moffitt were all on board. They were traveling from Raleigh-Durham to Huntsville when the crash occurred. I'm Andrea Tyson.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
When your tax refund comes, put it on the floor and walk on it. Revitalize the look and feel of your home with new floors from Prattville Carpet. With faster and better service than the big box stores and luxury vinyl planks starting as low as $4.99 per square foot. You'll enjoy that tax refund turned flooring every single day.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for waterproof carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement.
Dial 285-8117 or visit PrattvilleCarpet.com.
Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Troy Carrico here in the studio with me. In just a moment, we should be joined by Chuck DeCaro. Looking forward to talking to that gentleman.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting.
And also, we have some calls, though, real quick. Want to run to. Let's go to Najpapa. Hey, Najpapa, how are you?
Hey, Joey. Hey, Troy. How you guys doing?
How are you, sir?
I'm good. I always appreciate when you're there, Troy, on Mondays and Fridays.
Thank you very much. I'm privileged to be here with Joey, so thank you.
Yeah, well, I think it's a two-way street. I think he enjoys and appreciates your contribution and presence.
He does.
Okay. Hey, so I've always got a load of things because I don't call in very often, but Joey, did you hire a choir? I hear these women's voices singing about you.
It's all the new AI stuff, man. It's too much fun to play with.
That's what I figured. I love it, man. That's cool.
He's extremely talented, and he's actually very humble about it. But he's very talented when it comes to this.
He's got his way with the women. He's got a choir line.
Yeah, he does. He does.
With his charm.
Yep.
Okay. Look, all right, and I really like your music that you put together with AI help or whatever. That's fine. But okay, so I knew that President Trump was going to be reading a passage of scripture from 2 Chronicles 7:14 that says, "If my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven and will heal their land and forgive their sins." I knew he's going to be reading that.
Amen.
And I don't know how deep his faith is, but I'm thankful that from his platform, many, many people will hear it. And I just, as I was waiting, I heard heard one of the ads or one of the information, whatever, talking about they're going to be reading the whole Bible through it in Washington, I guess.
Yep, for the 250th, and 6 cabinet members are joining in, Trump himself, and also like stars. I saw Patricia Heaton's going to read one of them. There's all sorts of fun.
So glad, but to me, that applies to the discussion you guys have been having. You know, you're talking about, we are talking about, a lot of people are talking about the violence and the demographics and the age groups. And you mentioned, Joey, that if you ask the question, if these usually young men are connected to a community of faith, and often they're not. And I think that's a defining point. Okay, for years, our government subsidizes women and gives incentives to them to stay single, so the dad's not present. And I think that, I believe having more policemen will help. It's a part of the solution, but only a part. If we could somehow change families, and if people would read that scripture and pray that prayer and were sincere as a nation and as Montgomery County and Montgomery City, I think changes have to come from deep inside of families and moms and dads, and they can influence their children and be a presence in their lives and help them not shoot each other every weekend. That's the essence of what I wanted to say, but there was more. I don't know what else.
Well, I think that's a really great connection there to 2 Chronicles 7:14, and I compared Montgomery to kind of an Exodus generation lost in the wilderness or the desert, and I think that is very much, it's a city that was freed. It still hasn't quite got the promised land, and a lot of the reasons, perhaps there needs to be much more repentance and humility, and maybe there are folks already doing it, and thank God for you folks getting on your knees every morning, and we just need to keep that prayer going. And I appreciate it, Nash Papa. I've got a bunch of guests here lined up. Let's quickly go to Urbanite. Hey, Urbanite.
Yeah, nobody wants to say it out loud. It's education. I know Southerners hate the word education. And I tell you what's funny from a demographic standpoint, I lived in a town next to Sacramento when I was at the air base there that no longer exists. That was the exact same size as Prattville. That town is now 219,000.
Wow.
And you see where Prattville is. I know California is a lot more populous, but that just gives you an idea of how they're re-attracting or how they're able to hold on to the population.
Wow, man.
Well, those two towns were exactly 31,000 in 1989.
That's crazy.
And then one was 219 and the other one was barely 60.
Wow.
And the other thing, are they really attracting, the military folks that have moved at Prattville, since they open their arms and welcome them to Millbrook and Prattville? Do those people really want to come back to that area? I don't think so. That's why they're not doing it. That's why we're all anemic right now. We're the lowest, we may be the second or third largest city, but we have the lowest metropolitan rate of all the big towns.
You're right.
All the other big cities have million-plus metropolitan rates, also in Birmingham. And Mobile's headed that way.
Yep.
It's a shame.
That's where your marketing comes in at, and your strength in dollars coming at when you can attract 1 million people to your metro area.
I was just in Mobile, and a good friend of ours is a state police officer. He works Baldwin County for the state, ALEA, and he worked in Montgomery. And he just asked me over breakfast and my wife, what's going on up in Montgomery? And I said, you tell me. And he's like, it's broken. It's broken systemically. It's broken in terms of leadership from the top down. And the thing is this, you make a good point. We can't even get numbers out of the city on what really is going on. And that's problematic from the very get-go.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the call, Urban. Thanks, sir.
Bro.
So let's jump into this real quick. You have a new piece. It's a follow-up from last week's, and this is about Colonel DeMayo's reinstatement.
Imminent return, yeah. This is called the J-Dam of Justice, Colonel Cinco de Mayo's martial strike against political treason in Montgomery. And a thunderous rebuke that should rattle every marble column in Montgomery. The Federal Merit Systems Protection Board has delivered Colonel Douglas Cinco de Mayo, commander of the 8th Alabama's 187th Tactical Fighter Wing, a total unqualified victory. We spoke a little bit about this, Joey, in the last show. On 31 March 2026, the appellate court upheld his reinstatement as dual status technician GS-15/06 colonel with full back pay, restored honors, a pristine record, and recoverable legal fees, all at further Alabama taxpayer expense. This was the court of last resort for the state. The state illegally ripped him from command in 2022 on nothing but a cowardly, quote, loss of trust and confidence smear. Alabama's political machine appealed with the blind arrogance of corrupt potentates, squandering years and more than $1 million in taxpayer dollars. The final ruling struck like a precision 2,000-pound J-Dam. Colonel Cinco de Mayo is restored as commander and senior civilian officer of the 187th Fighter Wing. This was never a personnel dispute, although it was personal. It was a direct assault on the fighting spirit of our Air National Guard and, by extension, a threat to the Republic's national defense. Colonel DeMayo was not taken out by enemy fire in some distant sandbox. He was politically assassinated by petty vendettas from Governor Kay Ivey and her geriatric former Adjutant General Cheryl Gordon, neither of whom even ever saw a single combat deployment. Truly shameful. They torpedoed a combat-proven leader responsible for F-16 pilots, maintainers, and mission readiness over backroom whispers and bruised egos, not to mention the incoming F-35-2 Lightnings. My own 2023 investigation left no doubt. When Cinco pushed back against a rushed, poorly conceived state COVID-19 vaccination mandate for all the guardsmen, he was marked for elimination. That is not leadership. That is flat-out betrayal and sabotage from the chain of command. DeMayo assumed command in 2021, a battle-tested officer with a chest full of ribbons and a record of results. 14 months later, after delivering multiple high-level successes in national exercises, he received a pink slip. No charges, no court-martial, no explanation worthy of an eagle-wearing colonel. When he fought back through proper channels, the state doubled down, burning Alabama's tax dollars to defend the indefensible. The MSPB reviewed the evidence and delivered the only verdict that mattered. The state was dead wrong. This victory is righteous vindication of a shameful travesty orchestrated by derelict adjutant generals and JAG officers. Colonel DeMayo is not an isolated case, unfortunately. He's the latest victim in Alabama's disgraceful pattern of waging war against its own war fighters. Just ask Rear Admiral Kent Davis, decorated Navy combat veteran and former commissioner of the Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs. He came home ready to repair the broken VA pipeline, mental health grants, suicide prevention, only to be politically assassinated by Governor Ivey after filing an ethics complaint over nearly $7 million in mishandled federal ARPA grant money that was set aside for veteran suicide. Same game, different uniform. Loyal service meets political retaliation. This is how a weak and vindictive regime treats the men and women who swear the oath to defend the Republic. The 187th Fighter Wing carries the lineage of the Red Tails, the Tuskegee Airmen, and the Alabama grit forged in steel and fire. These are the pilots and crews who would answer first now if China moves on Taiwan or Iran closes the strait again. When personal vendettas got the leadership, you just don't embarrass Alabama. You degrade American combat effectiveness. You erode morale, and you threaten our republic's very existence. Such violations send a clear signal to every enlisted troop, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, major, colonel. Competence is optional, but political loyalty is mandatory. That is not protecting the force. That is a slow motion bureaucratic treason. Yet every service member should take note. Exoneration is possible when good men refuse to bend knee and prepare, persevere, and pray. DeMeo stood tall, fought through the appeals, and won. The MSPB followed the law where Alabama brass refused. Duty restored, no parades, no thanks from the governor or tag who ordered the hit, just cold steel justice. Alabama has a sickness. It chews up its strongest warriors, colonels, admirals, veterans, even first responders who refuse to genuflect before the establishment machine. Governor Ivey and her circle of faded uniforms value control over readiness, connections over courage, vendettas over victory. Enough of this skullduggery. Alabama's so-called leaders owe Colonel Cinco de Mayo far more than back pay. They owe him public restitution, restored honor, and the resignation of every political hack who signed off on this disgrace. The people of Alabama owe it to themselves and every warfighter, past and present, to demand blood and accountability. When you casually destroy the careers of men who fly fighters, command troops, and care for veterans out of pure spite, you aren't just hurting individuals. You're jeopardizing the defense of our republic itself. That's not politics. That's dereliction bordering on sedition. Colonel DeMayo's vindication is a win for warriors everywhere. Now is the time to clean house in Montgomery before the next crisis exposes how hollow our state's support the troops rhetoric really is. The 2026 midterm elections await. Make your voices heard, contact your legislators and state leaders, and demand accountability. After all, they work for you. Start treating them like the subordinates they really are.
Troy Carrico, folks. And of course, this story has, as we talked to Colonel DeMayo last week, it's not just here. It's not just in Alabama and Montgomery's own backyard. Story very well has a national trend and ripples.
It does.
Throughout. And you have set us up here with your friend, Chuck DeCaro. He's a pioneer in the art and science of information warfare. He's the progenitor of the world's first military virtual information warfare organization, the first joint soft war unit. He is a co-author of the Cyber War series of textbooks used by the U.S. and allied war colleges. He worked as a consultant and researcher for the Pentagon Office of Net Assessment for 24 years. Chuck DeCaro joins us now. Sir, thank you for joining the program here. I'm glad Troy set this up. I don't know. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Chuck.
Chuck, turn on your mic.
Oh, no. I can see you, but like nothing was coming through.
Really?
Oh, no. Well, after that setup, we could try the phone, sir, if you'd like. I put that on.
He's gonna get.
Yeah, let's try that.
There we go. There we go.
How's that? Any better?
I can hear you now.
We're gonna get a little feedback.
There you go.
How's that?
We've got this echo going on here.
You're in a tuna can.
Let's try this. How's that?
No, we still got it. 1 second.
Why don't you try it back in?
Yeah, well, or we could, we can try it just over the phone if you like. 334-272-9228. We could write that down or text that to Chuck. 334-272-9228. Because I really want to get his take on this.
He's got some really interesting things here. There's a 9228, right? Yeah, let's see. All right, 9228. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sure he'll call in a minute, but he's back up.
Okay. How do you read me?
That's much better.
There we are.
Okay. We'll just do it off the phone.
Well, thank you for joining us, sir. Despite technical difficulties here, but first, your reaction to what Troy was talking about here with Colonel DeMayo and how maybe he's not the only one. In fact, maybe there are others out there who have suffered what he suffered and didn't get the sort of indication Troy was just talking about.
Well, to be honest, Doug DeMaio isn't there yet. And what's interesting is that the federal judgment that he received effectively makes him the de jure, or the legal commander and the legal holder of the civil service position. But he can't get on the other side of the fence. So you have a really interesting problem. What I would recommend for Colonel DeMaio is to stand out in that fence and point the F-35s and mention that we're in a conflict with Iran that has sleeper cells, and that those F-35s at the dual-use airport are extraordinarily vulnerable to sabotage. And I think he should do something about it. Call the governor directly and say, do something about it. Because when I looked at that, I can take a rubber ball and throw it from the fence and hit one of those F-35s. Well, if I can do that, somebody with a grenade or a Molotov cocktail could do the same thing. There are about $3 billion of airplanes sitting all together that are extraordinarily vulnerable. Nobody in the chain of command, starting from what I see as a Biden-esque governor whose mental faculties are co-equivalent to the former president in his last semester, and who has no idea of the amount of risk that she is assuming by leaving those airplanes there unguarded and unprotected. I think Colonel DeMaio should go out and point out to the governor loudly and in public that that's $3 billion worth of stuff. Furthermore, I would then recommend that he tell the story of the macheteros, who were the Puerto Rican nationalists who in 1972 or so decided as a demonstration to blow up the entire Puerto Rican Air National Guard squadron of then A-7 attack aircrafts. All 12 aircraft were destroyed. And for spite, they blew up the F-104 gate guard. That was all done. They kind of found some of the people, but the damage was done. That happened in Puerto Rico 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And nobody seems to remember.
I want to share something with you off the record, Joey. He's
on the radio and off the record. Good,
right.
Troy.
Well, I'm saying that
Good.
because it's unofficial here. He's
Did you say you were in counterintelligence?
Oh my God!
Really? Really?
I like
Why don't you just drop down and give me 25 mental push-ups, Troy?
I almost regret having him on the show now. You see what I'm saying?
No,
I'm waiting for the push-ups.
So check it out. He's trying to talk me into going to the back of the airfield. And he wants to send a message. Seco in a flight suit, probably with an upside down American flag, I'm thinking, and we're going to be looking like we're trying to breach. He goes, no, throw the balls in and see if you can hit. I'm certain I'll end up in jail, and he won't bail me out. He said.
Well, the point is, vulnerability is there. Beside all the political froth that you're talking about, you got $3 billion of airplanes sitting next to a public highway at a dual-use airport, and nobody's the wiser. Okay, and it's not a good idea. It's not a good look for Alabama. Not a good look for the country. In my view, and I'm biased because I like Cinco, is that he needs to get his job back, and that place needs to be put back in first-class order, which it is not.
And is this pervasive around the country? And I'm just wondering, why the pushback? Why don't they people in leadership want to actually change on this? It seems like common sense, especially with modern war, that a layman like myself even can see in the news.
Well, yeah, the issue is, we've always done it that way. It's really hard to change. Basil Littlehart, who was a famous between the wars, War I, War II, British strategist, has a wonderful quote. And he said, it's not hard to put a new idea into the military mind. It's trying to put the old one out. That change is hard. For instance, California has a similar problem with its F-15s off at Moffett Field. They're only about 75 yards from the fence under sunshades.
That's how it is.
I wrote an article about that and called and and told my friends there, hey, fellas, this is not a good idea. So, I think they may have improved the guard watch a bit, but you need to disperse those aircraft and increase the guard upon them. Well, that means, oh, gee, we're going to have to spend more money. Yeah. Well, how much money are you going to spend if you break one of them? So that needs to be addressed.
Well, the thing that Chuck offers is, I think, a better national perspective on this, because he's aware of the fact that the Wisconsin Guard has the same problem. It's not just endemic to here. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, 60% of all combat power, if we were to ramp up, comes from the Reserve/National Guard, particularly in the combat forces, the National Guard. And if we lost a wing of this equipment, it would be a major detriment to our footprint worldwide in projection of power. So, yeah.
It would be a shame. And I almost have this thought, and if I transition a little bit here, let's say that, with more geopolitical success by the Trump administration, that might incentivize desperate folks to do asymmetrical things, like messing with these very valuable assets that aren't being protected. But I got to ask you, Chuck, since you're on the show here, can you describe, we were mentioning a little earlier in the program, what you called Trump's art of the squeal, and what is this grand game he's playing?
Well, obviously it's a takeoff on the art of the deal. And if you read his book, as I did 40 years ago, it's you're trying to make a win-win for everybody, but in the middle of negotiations, you'll sort of toss everything in the air and give people a chance to think, oh my God, I better take this deal. And in Venezuela, think about it. You had Maduro, who was virtually adamant as an anti-Trump, anti-American person. Suddenly he gets snatched, and everybody else is a hell of a lot more agreeable. And when you think about it, what exactly are they going to do? Given if the United States continues to, let's say, quarantine the vessels that they see as being registered illegally, you have to play ball. As a result of that, Cuba lost its nearest source of petroleum, and they are going down fast. They will have not much left. Our proposal is that we won't invade you, but you might want to have access to our banking system, our power system, our telecommunication system. And it might be a soft landing for Cuba. So, we're not doing nation building. We're not doing, the 20-year hangover from Syria and Afghanistan and Iraq. And we seem to be gaining ground. Look, if you look at it, in 3 months, from January to the end of March, the bigger target has always been China. So not only did we cure the problem with fentanyl, or at least amend the problem with fentanyl coming across from Venezuela, cocaine coming across from Venezuela, dealing with some of the cartels, but something on the order of 5% of China's oil comes from Venezuela, and that went to zero or close to it. 20% in Iran comes from Iran, and that went to zero, certainly zero right now. And look what we've done to China. China is the biggest problem of all. All this stuff is minor. China has stated that by 2027 they would invade Taiwan. They recently came off of that. Wonder why? Because you really can't do that kind of invasion unless you have the oil, and they don't have the oil or the energy resources to support a war. The second part is that China promised to be the world's hegemon, that is, the world's leading power by 2049, which would be the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Revolution of 1949. Okay. What they mean is they want their currency as standard, their internet as standard, their philosophy as standard. Now, Xi Jinping believes in harmony. Well, our idea of harmony is a little different from theirs. When Xi Jinping says harmony, He means I tell you what to do and you do it. That's harmony. If you want to live in that kind of world, I don't think you would find it very much fun.
So it seems Trump and team are moving at the exact right moment, or perhaps this is a window for China and a window for us? Like, this is the opportune time.
Yeah, but what Trump is doing is coming out from non-standard strategic directions. Whoever thought of Venezuela as a way to, stick your foot out and trip up China? Whoever thought of taking out Iran for its own reasons, because of their nuclear weapons, to really put the fear of not being able to accomplish goals because Trump is there doing these things?
Yes.
It's really non-standard. It's also non-standard. Can I recommend a book to you guys?
Sure.
I would, if you get a chance, I would ask all your readers to read a Chinese book. It's called Unrestricted Warfare by Colonels Liang and Kwang Su, written in 1999. Some interesting things. What they're talking about is the militarization of the erosion of the four tenets of national power. That is diplomatic, information, military, and economic. And that's exactly what they've been doing since 1999. Oddly, the impetus for this came from a nice Jewish boy from New York City. His name was Alvin Toffler. Alvin and I were good friends until he passed away. Alvin wrote Future Shock.
Yep.
He also wrote The Third Wave, talking about the waves of civilization: agrarian, industrial, information. In the late 1970s, he went on a world tour and was invited by Deng Xiaoping, then premier of China. And Deng was so taken with this, he took Al's book and made several million bootleg copies and handed it to everybody in the PLA. A few years later, Al wrote another book, a good one, called War and Anti-War. And its ideas were then spread to the PLA without any royalties to Al. And then a few years later, Liang and Kwang Su write this book, and they footnote Al. And you might find some quotes that look a lot like the ones I did in my first book on soft war. Right. So what they've done is literally a Chinese copy of American ideas, and then using a 25-year, 50-year time scale, they're essentially doing it. Let's talk about, I think it was on page 191. Don't quote me, and I have to go back and look.
I got the electronic copy. I got the electronic copy right after you told me.
Go look up there. Pull up lobbying or lobbyist. I think it's 191 or so. Yeah. They talk about special funds for lobbying. Well, Eric Swalwell comes immediately to mind. Here's a guy who's a nobody on the city council, but he's got a Chinese agent, Fang Fang, assisting in fundraising. Now, if you're the permutation of another nation state and you have access to money, how hard is it to get a guy out of the city council to become a congressman? How hard is this? How hard is it to fund anything else? It's in that book. Okay. So what I tell my students is that when you look at China, you don't want to be looking at Godzilla. It's not Godzilla. Okay. It's not racing around with flame coming out of its breath and knocking over skyscrapers with its tail. It's not. What it is like is from the famous Steve McQueen movie, The Blob. This slow, primordial ooze that doesn't kill you, it absorbs you. Once you get that view of China, it becomes a lot easier to understand.
Now, real quick, how are they doing? How are we doing? Like a bottom line, how's this war going, this long run project going?
It's going pretty good. I mean, you know about the Belt and Roads Initiative?
Sure.
Joe, are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's both economic, diplomatic, and informational. Hey, we're nice Chinese people, and we're going to, redo the Silk Road all the way to Panama.
Build your port,
okay?
Right.
So little by little. I mean, they're basically taking plays from our book. If you look at the Panama Canal, if you look at the Marshall Plan, and they're doing it in a 21st century way, and we're kind of diddling. Okay, we need to understand, here's our problem. As Americans, we go to war when we see clear and present danger. Okay, get Pearl Harbor, we're there. 9/11, we're there. Okay. What if in war the danger is clear but not present? Like cigarette smoking. You can smoke, I'll worry about it later. The problem is you're going to die statistically before your time. Enemy wins. What if the danger is present but not clear? Like the slow poison that Lucretia Borgia used against her Renaissance foes. You have no idea why you're feeling ill. It's not clear, but you die before your time. What if the Chinese are going to that and looking at giving the United States a death by 1,000 cuts? Take the Allies here, change the monetary system when possible, utilize quantum computing, utilize artificial intelligence, take the monies, currency manipulation, take the monies you now have, put it into basic research, and thunder ahead of the United States in a number of technological areas. Now what are you going to do?
Page 191 is about supranational means. Combination, yeah. This is good stuff, but it reads like somebody is. It reads like E.E. Cummings poetry to me.
Stream of consciousness.
Yes.
But the problem is, you have to be patient reading this book because, as I described to you this morning, it's like trying to drink really hot coffee out of a steel cup while you're in a pickup truck going down a gravel road. So you got to take your time reading it. But after a while, it makes a lot of sense. And we see things. We military folks tend to see things purely in the military arena.
Yeah.
But as citizen soldiers, remember, that's how we got here, on the shoulders of citizen soldiers.
Yes, absolutely.
So we need to regenerate the sense of citizen soldier. Right now, we have not a volunteer military, but a recruited military. It's okay. They do their jobs. Our young men and women do their jobs extraordinarily well. But that's all they do. What we need is the kind of citizen soldier like Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox, who understood everything there was to know about his world and then fought the enemy in it. And I was able to outthink the enemy. I've written several pieces about the need for a more classic liberal education, not liberal in a political sense, but the liberal arts.
True liberal.
Let's talk about classic education. Let's talk about the Greeks, the Latins,
Greco-Roman,
the Romans, etc. Because as Mark Twain once said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And that makes an awful lot of sense to me. Because the technology changes over time. The human condition doesn't change that much.
We talked about earlier.
So
absolutely.
I try really hard when I lecture at the National Defense University and National Intelligence University to bring this point home. But what I'm finding is we have more and more specialists who are profoundly educated, especially the cyber guys, but they're not broadly educated. They're not the kind of guys you want to stand on a corner and in Bedford-Stuyvesant on a Saturday night with. Soy Boys comes to mind.
That's right.
But you also don't want a bunch of guys who are just that, who do not have the profundity of knowledge about their country and their way of life to be willing to defend it both physically and intellectually. You need both. And one of the things that we need, I think, starting from school early on, is you got to do the Pledge of Allegiance and then be explained to that young child what it means and why it's important, which we don't do.
We really appreciate having you on today, Chuck. I've just become friends with you. I think we're friends. We're Rangers. He's a Ranger. He's an MMI graduate, Marion Military Institute. Yeah,
Beautiful.
Can you imagine that? The Air Force Academy. But let's get him back on another
Absolutely.
show.
This time has flown by. I have so many other things I would love to talk to you about, Chuck. Yeah. Really do appreciate the time.
Anytime. I'm around.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Again,
Rangers
folks,
lead the way.
That's right. Every day. Every day, buddy.
Thank you, Chuck.
He was
Chuck
special.
DeCaro, folks. That was awesome.
Married to the beautiful Lynn Russell, too.
Well,
we can maybe get
even
her
better.
on. Then we will just say, Chuck, you can sit back for a little while. We'll listen to her.
This part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And there at Montgomery Men's Health, they are ready to help you fellas out if you just don't feel like a man anymore. In fact, I was over at Montgomery Men's Health this morning picking up a medication, and I signed up for the peptides.
Yes, I know
for
you've been interested in
the
these.
Somorelin, and I am looking forward to working with them. And gentlemen, if you are looking for an extra pep in your step, especially for like recovery after if you like weightlifting, or you just want to sleep better, want an assist with your weight loss program, of course you need to exercise and eat well. But if you do want that extra assist, especially if you're in your 40s, 50s, that visceral fat around the middle is tough to get done, and your sleep patterns are all off. Get by Montgomery Men's Health. Of course, issues could also be endemic to low testosterone, low T issues, or maybe you got ED or PE. They can help you across the board, whatever your issues might be there at Montgomery Men's Health. All you got to do is just get in touch with them. Stop by a consultation, lab work, just $99 right now.
That's incredible.
Pretty incredible. And a lot of guys wish they had gone earlier. Very satisfied and start feeling results immediately. Most men do.
Crazy.
So check it out today, folks. That's Montgomery Men's Health. Call them up at 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or you can book online in under 30 seconds at MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com. That's Montgomery Men's Health for every man in every season of life.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
At Blue Water Broadcasting, we believe great advertising starts with relationships. That's why so many local business owners trust us, not just for radio, but for digital too. If you're already running digital advertising and you're not seeing results, it may be time to explore your options. Our team takes the time to understand your business, then builds custom campaigns using a multi-channel conversion-focused approach. So whether it's digital display, social media, or you need help increasing your online presence, Blue Water Broadcasting can help. Before your next campaign, let's have a conversation. Visit BlueWaterBroadcasting.com.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. Here in the River region, thousands of hardworking folks will be buying a home, some for the first time. How do you know you are buying the right home? It starts with research. A buyer's agent can help you in your search, providing a list of homes you may not be aware of or know about. At the same time, a meeting with a local lender to find out exactly what you qualify for and how much it will cost at closing and monthly. A list of needs and wants provided to your agent will help them locate properties that match those needs. An example would be bedrooms, baths, school zones, floor plan requests will also help. Start shopping and look at homes and compare and make a list of pluses and minuses for each home. Compare them with your agent to narrow the field. After you work out the contract, appraisals and inspections come next, and then the closing. For more details, call Bo Goodson at the Goodson Group, 221-2883. That's 221-2883.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
Congressman Barry Moore has always delivered for Alabama. As a member of the House Freedom Caucus, Barry Moore earned a score of 100 from Heritage Action for protecting our values. He's helped thousands of Alabama families, fought for our veterans as a veteran himself, and secured millions for infrastructure, first responders, and public safety. Barry Moore helped pass Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, delivering tax cuts for hardworking Alabama families, and stood strong to secure our borders. Now, Barry is taking that fight to the United States Senate. Barry Moore will defend our freedoms, defend the Second Amendment, protect our children, stand up for parents, and keep boys out of girls' sports while continuing to cut taxes and lower prices. Endorsed by President Trump, Barry Moore is a proven conservative Alabama can trust.
I'm Congressman Barry Moore. I've rolled up my sleeves in Congress, and I'll keep fighting for Alabama in the U.S. Senate. I'm Barry Moore, a conservative fighter, and I approve this message.
Approved and paid for by Barry Moore for U.S. Senate.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Weather, a service of H&H Carpets, where right now, get a load of this, listen close, you get a house full of carpet for $19.95 installed. Unbelievable. They're located at 6450 Atlanta Highway, just across from Walmart.
Well, hi, everybody. We are looking at a nice temperature rebound this week after that setback. Tonight, still jacket weather, though. Mostly clear skies. Overnight low temperature by dawn tomorrow morning down to 49. But a nice day tomorrow with plenty of sunshine. High temperature Tuesday up to about 82. I think we're in the mid-80s on Wednesday and Thursday with more sun. Small chance of showers pops up Friday, but a better chance of some stormy weather with showers and thunderstorms over the upcoming weekend. We'll keep an eye on that system for you. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
CB&S Bank, serving families and communities since 1906. Proud to be named 16th best performing bank nationally in their asset category by American Banker. Learn more at cbsbank.com. CB&S Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back, folks. Running out of time here, but though Chuck DeCaro was fantastic. Again, check out Unrestricted Warfare. Also, when will your column you read come out?
This week. Maybe I think they're saying Wednesday. I'm sorry. So
yeah, and time to shake the cage a little bit and wake up some of the folks in charge.
It is, and you know what he meant when he said "uncurio," meaning there's de facto, and then there's the de curio, meaning he is by decree that, but we got to get him in there. And I think here's the big thing. The new laws guarantee that the state cannot push back because they belong to the agency, so the Air Force will get involved. But it's still a little bit of a journey for him.
Yeah, and there's a lot we didn't even get to today, folks, but I'm up losing a lot of time here. So I want to remind you that great sponsor of the program is Alabama Home Mortgage.
Yeah.
And they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. They are ready to help you, whether you're looking to buy or refinance your current home. And especially if you're a veteran, they have some of the strongest home financing options available through the VA mortgage program. And they're aware, they're hip to the latest there. Offering benefits like no down payments for purchases or 100% cash out refinances. And even if you're not a veteran, if you're looking for great local folks that can help you get that pre-approval, walk you through the home buying process, or help you meet that goal in refinancing your home, whether you're getting debt off your back, securing that retirement fund, or you just want to take that dream vacation you've always wanted to go on. Check them out today. That's Alabama Home Mortgage. You can always start the conversation at 567-4223. That's 567-4223, or visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368 in equal housing lender.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hunger doesn't always look the way you think, but it's closer than you realize. On Saturday, May 9th, join the Budget Bites battle at the Heart of Alabama Food Bank and turn awareness into action. Teams will go head-to-head, creating a full meal for $5 per person or less in just 60 minutes. Every $1 raise provides 5 meals for neighbors in need. Now we need you. Register your team today at hafb.org. Deadline is May 2nd. Be part of the solution. Cook with purpose. Fight hunger one meal at a time.
Trust is the number one reason why a patient chooses a healthcare provider. Adams Drugs has been your trusted healthcare provider since 1962 and has been voted the number one pharmacy in the River Region for many years. We strive each and every day to provide you the level of healthcare you have come to expect from Adams Drugs. The employees at Adams Drugs take pride in developing relationships with their patients. From making sure your prescriptions are filled correctly, to getting to know you and your family's needs, and following up on any questions you may have, Adams Drugs employees deliver top-notch service. We ask you to visit us at any of our locations in Montgomery, Prattville, Wetumpka, Millbrook, and Pine Level Marbury and give us a chance to earn your business. You can find us at adamsdrugs.net for the location that is nearest to you. Adams Drugs is your local, independently owned Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
With spring officially here, Pizza Perfect has sprung a great deal for April. Get a free order of breadsticks or cinnamon sticks with the purchase of any large or medium pizza. That'll make the whole family smile. Pizza Perfect's amazing buffet includes pizza as well as spaghetti, breadsticks, salad, dessert, and drink for only $13. The buffet is available Monday through Saturday for lunch and for dinner on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. Pizza Perfect is also available for pickup and delivery. Pizza Perfect on Coliseum Boulevard in Eastbrook.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
You're listening to Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go to Ray Bowles with Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
I like that new jingle before. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Well, how's y'all's day going?
It's flying by in a good way. We've just been busy, but trying to catch my breath there as we land this plane.
Yeah, I'm in Dad's car. I had to run down to Perdido Beach for a meeting today. And gas prices being at $5.50. Do you drive a diesel?
I do.
Drive a diesel to the beach and back.
I drove a diesel. I got a Ford 250, and I hurts every time I turn it on.
Yeah, I've got the GMC 1500 small block because I don't have the bull. When I pull, I don't need a 250.
Yeah.
But I do need a diesel because my transmission went out, my other one at 3,500 miles. I'm like, no, I got to go to the diesel.
Yep.
Now it's hurting.
Yep.
So I stuck that in the big truck, and I did call him and said, hey, we need to take your car in tomorrow because around the 105 it's kind of shimmy. He didn't think that was funny.
I got it, but I was waiting for Joey to do something.
Yeah, because the last thing he says, do not wreck my car. Don't get it over 80.
Over,
'Cause,
100.
80. Yeah.
Over 80.
He thinks I drive way too fast.
That's funny.
But this was a meeting for 3 years from now. Sometimes you do advertisements for today, and other times you do meetings for 3 years in the future. So that was one for 3 years in the future.
Well, and what a shame having to be down in the beautiful coastland, too. I mean, it's just terrible down
I didn't even lay eyes on the beach. I walked into the resort, did what I had to do, get my car, and came straight back.
There you go. There you go.
But I am taking Amy to the beach on Thursday, so I wasn't that enthused about seeing this. I'll look forward to doing that on Thursday. Matter of fact, Thursday and Friday, can y'all do the ads for me?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
I would appreciate that. It's one upside to being an empty nester. We have to take a trip before Sailor comes home. She leaves. She's got May the 2nd. She's coming home. So we had to squeeze one last trip in before the kid comes back.
Well deserved, well earned.
I don't understand that. But if y'all need a floor, if you need it in before May the 2nd, we can do it. Call us 285-8117 because we can replace that room of carpet before your kid comes home from college because all the kids are coming home from college before you know it.
Yeah, they are. Folks, get it done. Get it done quick. They're at 285-8117, and be sure to tell them you heard Ray Bowles on the radio talking about that diesel.
Guys, y'all have a great day.
Appreciate you, man. Let's real quick go to Babs. Hey, Babs, how are you?
I am great. Just want to tell you, again, great show, Troy. Thank you for all the information you bring to the show.
I'm very blessed.
I kind I was watching a little bit of Fox, but I mostly listen to you, and there is, amendment to redistrict in Virginia, and the way the amendment is worded, it's kind of confusing. And I was wondering about the two amendments on our ballot coming up. Are y'all familiar with that?
Oh, yeah.
And how do I vote, in other words? Because I was going to vote yes, but I don't trust anybody anymore.
I'm probably going to be a yes on both of them. I did have a sample ballot around here, but I think somebody threw it out. But both
I
seem.
got it right here. You want me to read it, but they're kind of long.
Yeah, we're kind of out of time too, but
I know.
we can revisit that before May
Put me
9th.
on. I am going to put my son in touch with Troy.
Okay, great.
He's big into military.
Okay.
That was just phenomenal information. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
Bob.
rest
Love to
of the
talk
day.
to him.
Love you,
Babs.
Babs. Hey, did we learn anything today? I think we did.
We did. We didn't have enough time. There's not enough time.
Not enough
in our
time?
Compact. We put 2 pounds of poop in a 1 pound bag, as I say.
Blevets.
Ugh. Look out where you step.
Learned that from Cormac McCarthy. All the pretty horses.
Hey,
Anyway.
I learned that you've expanded your portfolio of music, and it seems to be a big hit. Everybody's commenting on it.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe
about
it was
that.
time to change for it, man.
Anyway, thanks for listening, folks. And it's always good.
I love being here. I'm sorry I wasn't here on Friday, but I was in beautiful Mobile and saw your uncle's wonderful cathedral.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, it ain't his.
Well, the house of God there that he
That
operates.
he has to manage. Anyway, y'all stay tuned. Happy Hour with Greg. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.